What is up, everybody? We have got something special tonight. This little thing I've been dangling the carrot for a couple of years now has finally been released and launched. And tonight we are going to take some time and I'm going to walk you through it, give you a little preview of what you can expect. Just, give you the whole gist of it. So, all right. Give me a thumbs up on mic check here if you wouldn't mind, making sure that this is working. And then we will dig in. Once I get a mic check, we will just jump in. I've been kind of teasing the crap out of this all week, and I it's kind of like the reality's hitting me of like, this feels similar to when you've been working on an album for years. And I don't know how many of you guys work on an album for years, but there's been a few that I have. And ironically enough, I'm actually finishing up a big album. I'll let you guys guess. Literally like the last round of mastering revisions today. So there's like this massive culmination of like big milestones for me. So, pardon me if I seem a little giddy and you can't wipe the smile off my face tonight. Yeah. So all good. Why is everybody here tonight? I know why you're here. Been a while since I've done a live stream, as you've guessed, and those of you who have subscribed on my newsletter, the newsletters have been few and far between, but I've been busy, been making records. As much as I love doing this, and you'll see kind of what the course is all about, I really enjoyed that process as well, and I think I'm going to enjoy probably more stuff of this sort. I still make records for a living, so a lot of my time gets taken up doing that, and this year's been a big year for that. So I haven't been able to get on and do this type of stuff, or even the social media posts have been a little slow, but hopefully now that my plate has kind of cleared off a little bit, we can get back in the swing of things. So I don't even know where to start. I really don't. You know what? Maybe let's just do this. Let's just do this. So why don't I start with this? There is, and I kind of did a live, an Instagram live a couple hours ago where I was talking about this, but I think it's worth repeating for those of you who didn't see it. Why did I do a workshop or a course or a virtual apprenticeship, as I think it's probably most accurately described as? Why did I do this? Couple different reasons. And it all kind of started, well, let's say the culmination of where we're at started when I started in a studio. I was an assistant. I was an intern. I worked at a commercial studio in Toronto. Kind of, you're not really there to do anything technical at the beginning, right? You're there mainly to obviously kind of learn, but just, it's not like you're going into the studio. It's not like a recording school where the engineer, the producer that you're working with is there to teach you. That's not his job. His job isn't to he's not a teacher. He's not to stop what he's doing and tell you what he's doing and show you what he's doing, all that stuff. Obviously, we occasionally get lucky with those type of mentors that do take the time and do that. But ultimately, they're there to do their job that they've been hired to do. So as an assistant, you learn so much just from watching. And, I spent, I think, year and a half, maybe not quite 2 years, at Sony. And I wouldn't be sitting here and doing what I'm doing if it wasn't for the people that I learned from back then. And then also moving to LA when I was pretty young and working at the chop shop, same idea. Like just the people that I got to got to make records with and be involved and witness and observe and ask the questions and all of that type of stuff. Those were like the real lessons. And it's interesting because I need to preface this whole live stream. Preface this, and if somebody like maybe I need to put it in the chat and like tag it. If I say that something is, to me is, or the way that I went through things is better or good or great or whatever, that doesn't discount all the other things. Okay, so the reason why I preface that is because I went to recording school. I went to a recording college for a year. I came out of the recording college scared shitless that I would never be able to get a job, that I had no idea what I was doing, that I just wasted every dollar that I had, that I'd saved up and worked all through high school. And it wasn't the thing. And I was lucky in the sense that I knew that. So I knew that I knew the next evolution of my career path was still education. So even though I was done recording college, like I quickly acknowledged, like I didn't know shit. You learn the basics, but that's it. And it became very, very, very apparent the minute I started working at Sony. I was like, oh, okay, this is my education. The recording school was kind of like, when you get your driver's license when you're 16 and you got to go do a written test. And the written test, you could ace the written test and not know how to drive at all. Like that's the most like parallel analogy that I can think of. You could go to recording school and you can get the best grades and you can come out of that. Well, at least the recording school I went to. I'm sure there are better ones now, but you could go and do it all and come out and still have no idea what you're doing. Getting into it and hopefully watching somebody else drive before you get in and try to take the wheel and put it in drive for the first time. Hopefully you've watched a bunch of people drive a car so you kind of have an idea of what you're doing even before you start learning. And so that's kind of how that was kind of the traditional path, actually. I mean, most of my colleagues, most of my mentors, most of the people that I like their records and respect what they do and like what they do, a good majority of them, that's kind of their main learning was by being in the room and watching other people not teach, but do their job. And so when I worked at the chop shop, I was kind of in charge of training assistants. And so I would hire assistants and train them. And part of that I actually really enjoyed. Like I love talking about making records. I love kind of getting in the weeds with people who are interested, and as enthusiastic as I am. Like you get me started, as you guys know, on the couple of years of 3-hour live streams. I get started down a path and I just love talking about it. So having a couple studio assistants that are really enthusiastic and want to learn, I really liked. But then that whole thing kind of went away. And it didn't just go away for me. It kind of went away for the industry. Like going and getting a job at a commercial studio as an intern and, spending a year or 2 or 3 assisting and seeing a bunch of different engineers and producers make records and start connecting the dots and start seeing all of like the lessons and the way things are done that you wouldn't really read in a manual or you wouldn't learn at recording college. Unfortunately, like that kind of doesn't exist anymore, which is unfortunate, but I totally get just, it's a different time. It's a different industry than it was. So over the years, a lot of things have tried to fill a little bit of that void for the people that are really enthusiastic and want to learn. And like, obviously YouTube's a huge one, doing these live streams. Hopefully you guys have been able to learn something. I know I love watching like the Mix with the Masters and stuff like that. I love all this stuff. And again, I will preface this by saying this isn't meant to compete with anything else. This is simply just another tool or another piece of the puzzle that can help you hopefully improve on your skills. Maybe, I've heard from a few people that were in our beta group. I would say half of the people learned a bunch of new things, but there were a bunch of people who said, you know what, the real value of this was watching me make a record and say, oh yeah, I do that. Cool. I'm on the right path. Or, oh yeah, that's kind of how I do that. Okay, cool. Or that's how I do that, but I do it a little bit differently. I'm going to watch to see maybe there's something else to this that I'm missing, and then I can kind of fill in the blanks. And really, like I said, going back to like the commercial studio thing, when you see, let's say you work with, over the course of a year, you've got different producers coming in, different writers coming in, I worked with one main engineer, but there were different writers and producers, in the building that I got to work with and learn from. They all have their strengths and they all do things slightly different. So you can kind of pick up on certain things and be like, ooh, I like that. I'm going to take that and, put that in my toolbox. And, oh, I like that, but I'm going to tweak that a little bit, or I'm going to try that later and see how that works for me and see if I gravitate towards, and I'm not just talking about technical techniques or technical skills. I think what another important piece of the puzzle that a lot of the feedback from our beta group was like, people have very rarely, even people who make their own records and make really good records, it's amazing how few people have actually been able to sit in the room and watch a professional producer, engineer, mixer, whatever, make a record. So as great as like the mix with the masters are, and I love those, it's a little bit of a different thing because they're taking something that's already been done, the work's already been done, and it's more of a deconstruction, right? And I don't want to say all of the challenges have been figured out, but yeah, you're kind of starting at the end and then just saying, here's how we got here, right? And so how this differs, what we're going to dive into today, how a big differentiating factor of this is you get to see me figure it out as I go. So this was not staged. This was not, I mean, yes, we edited it. I hate that. Edited it. There was so much footage. You guys, like, you would hate me if I tried to make you guys watch 400 hours of me making a record. But we chopped it down. But this is as if you were in the room with me, and there were a couple people that did come and get to be students live in the room and watch the whole thing go down. And it's a completely different experience watching somebody figure it out on the fly versus, taking something that's kind of been tried and true and be like, oh yeah, this is won Grammys. Okay, so we know it works, right? There's no, not saying that's not challenging. Getting to that point is challenging, but there's only so much you can learn from watching that being deconstructed versus seeing it being built as it goes. So that was kind of a big point of this workshop, was to provide a piece of how I learned and a piece of what I thought was so valuable to my career, that is just so, like, it's just not available anymore, or it's very prohibitive. I mean, if you've got a day job and your only option to get that experience is to quit your job and go work for free for, 6 to 12 months, like most people do, so that's just not an option. So, as time consuming as something like this must be, it's a fraction. This is a fraction of the time invested to watch these videos in the course that you would have to spend being a real intern and getting that same experience, even for one song. Like, you'd be in the studio for, probably a week, maybe 10 days, and you'd have to be just like sitting there the whole time, watching and learning and trying to stay awake and pay attention and all that stuff. So it's kind of a condensed version of that, even though it's still, 50 odd hours or so. But anyways, I see the chat's flying. So before we dive into this, I am going to answer some questions because I see a few things coming from the chat. So let me jump over there for a second here. Man, I love seeing all these familiar names and well, I won't say face. Yeah, there's some faces in here. Okay. All right. We have liftoff. Yes, we sure do. Nickelback. The beginning. Yes. Oh, you guys are so kind. I appreciate all of this. Yeah, we've got a few of the beta testers in the chat. And I might, obviously I can't pull them into, mics and videos and stuff like that, but I might throw a few questions out to the beta testers and just be like, if we stumble upon something and just be like, hey, what did you guys think of that? And throw it in there. So beta testers in the group here, definitely, get ready to answer some questions if I throw it to you. The other thing I will say is, so at the very top of the chat, I put a link. I think there's a link in the description of the YouTube. So we are live with like the course workshop. We're launched, so you can go buy this now. But I will say, anybody who's on our newsletter subscriber list, we are offering a little bit of a loyalty discount on top of our launch discount. So basically, if you click the button, if you're not part of the subscribers list and you want an extra discount, go to my website, sign up on the newsletter. I think there's a link in the description as well. I'm going to try to get more active with that. I don't spam you. Hopefully, everybody doesn't think it's spam. I'm not sending an email a day. It's usually, at this point, it's like one a month. But there's some extra stuff in there. There's kind of some presets and some templates and some drum samples and stuff like that. And we're going to start expanding that again as we kind of move forward. But if you do want the extra discount, I'll trade you your email for it. And if you're already subscribed, make sure you check your email. If you do plan on buying the workshop, make sure you check your email and use that discount code. And other than that, you should be able to do whatever you need to do. If you want to watch this, great. If you want to go buy the course and go start watching that, that's cool too. Whatever you want to do. Here we go. All right. John Plett also is in the chat. John is my partner in crime with this endeavor. I think everybody, give a applause to John in the chat. This would not be happening. I would have given up on this probably a year and a half ago. I might not have even done it to begin with. Not only him putting in the work to help us get this thing over the finish line, but his ideas in order to refine this into something that's actually going to be way better for you guys than it would be if I just did this on my own. And I think ultimately for me, the most important part is just being such just being encouraging and really, keeping me honest in a really positive way. I'm not the easiest guy to deal with when it comes to trying to sell something. I hate selling. You know what? I like selling other stuff. I don't like selling myself. I have a hard time, believe it or not, I have a hard time, saying, my credits or my name in a video and stuff like that. So, again, John got me over a lot of hurdles that ultimately I think you guys will be the beneficiaries of by having this out there and more stuff to come. So thank you, John. I know you're there. You're here watching in the chat. We wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you. So thank you, buddy. All right. Should we just dig into this sucker or what? Okay, let's do it. Okay, I'm going to be mainly focused on my screen here. So I'll break, kind of like we usually do in these live streams. I'll take breaks for Q&A. Hopefully if you guys have questions, if you think either beta testers or John can answer it, put your question in the chat now. Otherwise, just wait for a break and we'll do some Q&A. So, okay. Let's do it. So I got lots of prefaces today. I got one more thing that I got to preface this whole thing with. I haven't actually logged in and seen this yet in this form. I haven't seen what you guys are going to see. So right before we went live today, I went and logged in and bought the course and got the email and signed up and did the whole thing. And so this is like at the beginning. I don't know any more than anybody who just goes and orders this now. So bear with me. And it's cool because this is almost like a little bit of a beta test as well for me. So we're all in this together. So anyways, once you do place an order and you log in, whoa. I'm out of practice and I got so much going on. The other thing I do want to say, there are 3 different tiers, okay? And I'm just going to tell you really quickly. Well, here, I'll show you what they are. I'll get the sales part over so that way I don't have to be squeamish about the rest of this thing. Because if people start going to the sales page now, they might have questions about this. Okay. There's 3 different options for this. If you just want to watch the videos and that's all you want from this, you're like, I like putting on videos while I'm cooking dinner and just watching people make records. And like, cause I do that with other things, right? I put on golf videos or, even music, like guitar videos, stuff like that. I'll just put stuff on. I'm not necessarily looking for like a course to follow along and really learn. And this like as a thing, right? I don't need a bunch of extras, but if you just want to watch the videos, great. We've given you that option. And that was kind of a last minute addition. John, that was a big thing that John really pushed for. And I'm glad he did, because I think that's really important. Some people just, they know what they're doing. They just want to watch. That's kind of me. If I was looking at one of my colleagues' pages and I was like, oh, I'm really interested in this, that might be something that I'd just get the videos. That being said, if you're looking at this and you want kind of next level, you want to come out of this and be like, okay, I can confidently say everything I do after this is going to be better. So the records that the recordings that I do, the editing that I do, the mixing, all that stuff, I'm coming out of this and I'm going to be way better. And I want to be able to kind of work along with the videos. The middle tier, which is kind of like the core of the course, you get all the videos, you get multitracks for not only the finished multitracks, but you also get like the unedited multis. So you can once you learn how to edit, or if you want to practice editing the way that I edit after I've shown you in the video, you get that as well. You've obviously get the mixed tracks, the mastered tracks, and we've got a really special mastering bonus segment in here. Maybe I'll tease that later when we get to it. You get the tracking template that I used to track the band. Obviously, I'm sure everybody's got their own templates, but if you want to just have a look at mine and maybe you might be able to learn something from it or use it to build off of, you get that. You get a bunch of cool documentation from the session. So we've got recall sheets, we've got photos that the assistants took of kind of mic positioning and all that type of stuff. I love that stuff. When I was an assistant at Sony, we had a vault in the basement that had all the tapes and all the recall sheets. And when it wasn't busy, I used to go down in the vault and just look at recall sheets. And I remember looking at recall sheets from like Randy Staub mixes. And I didn't even know what I was doing back then. Like I wish I could go back into that vault now, because I would actually be able to understand the recall sheets. But I loved that. So I wanted to include some of that stuff here. And then I've also, for the students that were in attendance live, I put together a booklet for them that had a bunch of different things that they can then apply to their sessions. A bunch of just kind of like, just a little bit of direction on and little insight throughout making the record, and a few little resources in there that just, for notepads and documenting amp settings and all that type of stuff. So you get all that as well. If you are really, really, really serious and you like want to go like even next level, we're going to do what we're calling the professional tier. This may be a one and done thing. I don't know. And it's going to be relatively small groups. So if we get a bunch of people opting in for this one, we'll split it into a couple groups. Otherwise, it's going to be, like I said, we'll keep it manageable. But this might be the only one. I might, once it's done, do another one. I don't know. We'll just have to see. But for now, I'm committing to offering this third tier, which is basically you get everything, obviously, in the advanced. And in addition to that, we're going to do 4 private group calls, and we're going to space them out. So that way you have time to watch the videos, play around with the sessions, do that type of stuff. And then we're going to get a group call and discuss. And so that could be Q&A. That could be throwing some ideas if you tried something and saying, hey, what do you think about this? It could be getting clarification on the course. There's going to be some stuff in here that you're going to be like, yeah, I understand that, but I would love to be able to get some clarification on that. Or say, well, why did you do that instead of that? So that's what those group calls are for. And going back to my long-winded intro about how I learned, when I was an assistant, I would spend days and days and days and days and days watching engineers and watching producers and watching mixers do their thing. I was scared shitless to ask them anything. And I wish I wasn't. And some of them offered up, hey, you got any questions about anything that we did today? But very rarely was that the case. And if you wanted to get some clarification, you kind of had to figure it out a way to, get the courage to be like, hey, I noticed you did that. Can you show me what that is? And, hope that they don't yell at you and tell you to go back to the lounge and be quiet. No, I'm kidding. Everybody I learned under was great, but we were working. There wasn't a lot of time to say, hey, let's take a couple hours and have like a download of the session we just did. That wasn't available. I think my experience would have been even better if I had that, because obviously those engineers were so great. And thinking now that I know what I know, being able to go and ask them stuff in the moment or even like a week later or something would have been enormous. So I wanted to offer that as well. And again, I know it's a lot of money. I think like that's kind of why we call it professional. If you're really serious about like leveling up, your I don't even want to say your skill set, but just your whole world of engineering, mixing, editing, producing, whatever it is that you do. If you want to really level it up, and you're serious about it, that is, in my opinion, a good option. I mean, I look at that. I think about what my recording school cost. I think about what working for free for 10 months. It's like I tried to make it somewhat affordable. I mean, even if you wanted to hire me to do a mix, it would be more than that. So, and you're going to learn more by being able to watch all these videos and then be able to ask questions about it later. So, that was slightly cringy, but we made it through. John, high five. Okay. All right. I'm going to have a quick look at the chat before I get in. Man, I'm so sorry, guys. I'm so long-winded. That's part of what I do. I love you guys for actually bearing with me on this. Okay. I am looking at the chat. So if you did have any questions, feel free to jump and put them in again. I see some of the beta testers are chiming in. Thanks, Dave. Appreciate it. John's answering some questions. Are there settings like EQ, comp while recording? There are some, but I'm going to give you, and you're probably not going to be shocked. I'm going to give you a little bit of a foreshadowing lesson here. A big part of how I like to teach, and I wouldn't necessarily consider myself a teacher per se, but how I like to teach is not necessarily just like telling you or showing you what I did. Rather give you some idea as to how I came to the conclusion of why I did what I did. And then you learn those lessons and apply it. So I'm a little bit gun shy to even make presets for plugins and share those. I do. But every time I do it, I'm just like, oh, is this the wrong thing to do? And obviously, it's like, it's not up to me what people do with them after the fact. And I hope you take them and build off them. But less important is the EQ settings of whatever I did. And more important is how we got there and some insight as to why we got there. And that's what I think when you dig into the course, that's where the real value is going to be. So, I skirted that question, but I think ultimately it's probably something I needed to bring up as well. So, yes, we do have an afterpay option. So afterpay helps kind of like split up the cost and makes things a little bit more affordable. You can kind of pay in chunks, especially for that pro version. And like I said, I know it's an investment, but I think. I know, actually. I mean, and again, I hate saying this, and I don't love, I don't love promising some. I'm not going to sit here and promise you like, oh, you're going to do that, and you're going to be able to double your clients the next month. No. Like, it's up to you what you do with the information, and it's up to you how you use what you're getting, and if you get on the calls, like how you take advantage of those is ultimately up to you, and then how you implement them into your workflow. But the information I know for certain is very valuable. And I think the lessons of making a record, aside from just all the technical stuff, is also very, very insightful and enlightening for a lot of people. So the people who came to the workshop, and I don't want to put words in their mouth. I think there might be some testimonials from them online. But they were blown away. And some of them had been to multiple mix with the masters, and they were like, this is incredible. Like, there's nothing like this. And so, like I said, I think it's worth it. I mean, I understand, getting, that much, paying that much for something can be a little bit to take. So we do have the afterpay option. Awesome. A few people buying already. I love it. Thank you, guys. Okay. All right. Let's just start digging in here. Because like I said, I haven't gone through this process yet. So here we are. This is the page once you log in and see, once you've, log in, I guess. This is what it is. So you have this goofy looking guy up here. Maybe I should blow this up a little bit. Yeah, there we go. You got that goofy looking guy staring at you. Okay, turn demos into radio ready hits. Yeah, you get to do that with me. And then you know what's really cool about this, and you'll see once we start in, like we literally started at an iPhone like voice memo of like the band rehearsal when the song first started. Then I made a bunch of notes, sent it to the band. They sent me a voice memo with just voice and acoustic guitar. And then I started building out the pre-production, which you're going to see. And we went all the way to mastering. Like, so you get to see everything. Like, this isn't just like, oh, I'll show you how to deconstruct a mix. Like, no, you're starting from pre-production, and I talk through the whole thing. I'm actually looking forward to kind of revisiting some of this. So, so you can meet your instructor. I think you guys probably know me by now. This is a big one that I need you guys to read and acknowledge, because my lawyers are going to not be very happy with me if you don't. But basically, it's just saying, all the usual stuff. All the intellectual property here, you can't go use these tracks. You can't do, unfortunately, you can't do a mix and release it. This is internal use only. So I'll let you guys have a look at that. And I know everybody's really respectful of that these days. It used to be a different thing whenever somebody would release a stem for something, like it would just go crazy. And I do like the fact that things are a little bit more on the up these days. So here's your download things here, all your download assets. You've got guitar, bass recall, pictures, input list, all this fun stuff. I'm going to click on some of this stuff. Okay, download. Let's download this. Is it downloading? Let's see. Did it download? Let's see here. See files below for download. See files below for download. Oh, over here, downloads. All right, so let's see my notes. Allow, there we go. Okay, that button, don't click that button. It's over here. Let's just have a peek and see what's in here. Ah, yes, my pre-production notes. Okay, so these, again, this is real. Like, I didn't go back and make these notes. But song structure, arrangement, as we were tracking with all the band live off the floor, I was making notes. You can see kind of what's in there. Making notes for myself. Crash on downbeat harder. On second verse, on the beat and the kick, more impact. So these are just again, this is like insight as to what I'm listening for and the things that I'm going to focus on while we're doing drum tracks. This is the input list for the tracking session for the drums. There's our guitar inputs. What is this? Guitar. So these are my tracking notes for guitar. So as we're tracking, I have ideas and I'm hearing things, and he might be playing a part, and I'm like, oh, we need a part there, so I'd write it down. Or even before the session, as I'm tracking, comping drums or whatever, you come up with notes. You need a place to put those, and I like to put them guitars and guitar. Have it kind of separated out so that way you can find it when you're tracking that thing. This is kind of neat. I love actually seeing these, and I remember seeing these from other producers and other engineers, where you get a lyric sheet, and everybody's got their own way of kind of marking it up. Here, let me see if I can zoom in. So, like, I have like a little bit of a shorthand here for, the little underline is I need more diction on a certain word. Or if I put lines at the end of a word, it means I want it to kind of trail off. If I put a little squiggly, it's because I want more vibrato. Like, you've got all these little notes. It's also nice to put lyric things in here, or lyric changes. That happens all the time. While we're tracking, we'll make a lyric change. That happens all the time. So, yeah, that's cool. What else we got in here? Guitar picks. It's not picks, not guitar picks, although I should make some guitar picks. Would you guys buy guitar picks? Should we make some cool guitar picks? Oh, yeah. Look at this. There we go. Okay, so this kind of shows you what we ended up with on the cabs. Oh, I didn't even say. We recorded this at the Armory, which is like one of my favorite studios in the world. If you guys aren't familiar with the Armory Studios in Vancouver, definitely go check that out. Just go to their website. It's awesome. I've done a ton of stuff at the Armory, and so this is where we were going to do it. I mean, where else would we do it? So, we've got our bass setup diagram. We've got more track sheets. We've got a little diagram of our rhythm guitar setup. No, we didn't make IRs. I just saw somebody in the chat ask if we made IRs. Unfortunately, we didn't. I think we were planning on doing like 10-hour days. I think we did like 15-hour days. Like, it was a lot. So, that did not happen. We did do drum samples, because I always record one shots after, like, just a bunch of drum samples afterwards. So maybe I'll chop those up and include those in the goodies at some point. So yeah. Anyways, I'm gonna keep moving on. We could be here all day. I'm actually having fun looking at the stuff that we did. This session was done 2 years ago, almost to the day. It was done in June of 2024. So this is kind of bringing me back a little bit, which is super cool. All right. So you've got those kind of downloads. You've got Pro Tools sessions, mix prep checklist. You've got all the files, all the different files, the multitracks, the pre-production mock-ups, the master mixes, all that fun stuff. So those are the downloads. Okay, let's go back. All right. Okay, let's dig in. I'm going to skip gonna skip like the kind of my intros because I'm sitting right here, right? You don't need to see me twice. I don't want to see me. Okay. Let's click on one of these and see what's what. This is literally the first time I'm clicking on one of these suckers. All right, so I'm gonna blow this up. No, that's not gonna work. Sorry, guys. I'm gonna have to see how I can get this as big as oh, there we go. We can do this. Okay. All right, I'm gonna click on this. You guys let me know if you can hear it. So pre-production for me is a very important part of the process, and it varies greatly depending on the band's proficiency with recording demos, depending on if they have a setup at the rehearsal space that they can record, also depending on how the band kind of typically... Okay, cool. So you guys get the gist. I'm going to fast forward through the pre-prod. They've got clip gain. I'm just going to gain it. I know that's the intro now. The other thing that can be very helpful is keep your color palette open. Sometimes I do this. If we get into a scenario where I'm doing a lot of cutting and flying sections around and moving stuff around, it's very easy to not know which song section you're looking at or flying around. So I'm actually going to go and do this. So I'm just going to use different colors for each song section so we can quickly and easily determine which song section is the clip that we're looking at. So okay, let's fast forward here. All right, so I've just gone through and colored all the sections of the voice memo. Okay, so it's kind of like the verse riff, but it's phone in the room. On Pro Tools, if you use the keypad on your keyboard and you use the asterisk, and then you can type in a bar number and then hit asterisk in a certain amount of. So here's going to sound a little strange once. No, again, let's keep moving forward here. I'll never be the same 'cause I'm addicted. Okay, so this whole section is me basically just arranging the song. So like, what do we want? Chorus, verse, this, that. I'm moving stuff around just based off of the iPhone recording of the guitar and the vocal, and then I use time stretching to make it because it was just done free, no click. So then I use time stretching to kind of conform it. So this kind of shows you that whole thing. I kind of want to get to the part where I start actually like building some stuff under it. Let's see if I can. Is it halftime the whole way through? Is it full? And that actually might provide a good kind of feel. Okay, so I'm talking about why I'm doubling a chorus at the end, or why I'm going back to the bridge riff at the end of the song for the outro, all that type of stuff. So again, a big chunk of this is like me explaining why I'm doing certain things. Now I want everybody. Okay, so now I got a keyboard and I'm trying to come up with just drum beats, trying to get the drum groove of like what is this going to be, right? Let's fast forward. One more time. Okay. All right. So you get the gist of that. And again, this is this video. This chapter here is, or this video of the chapter is 37 minutes long. So it's not just me saying, "Hey, just program some drums." It's like you get to watch me like clusterfuck my way through this thing and figure it out and do a bunch of the wrong stuff to get to what I think is the right thing. That to me, and again. So cringy for me to like try to like hype my own thing. I hate that, but I'm gonna try to talk about this as if it wasn't mine. The magic here is seeing all of the fuck ups. It's seeing all of the things that didn't work. That's the magic here. And so it takes time to see a bunch of shit that doesn't work. But that's where you're gonna be like, oh yeah, I heard that didn't work as well. And that's going to build confidence in your own productions. Or you're going to be like, well, why did that work? It sounded pretty good to me. And then most of the time I'm going to explain, yeah, that wasn't really what I was going for because of this. And getting the narration of it and the understanding the why behind it is, like I said, that to me is kind of the magic stuff for this. So let's just, like I said, we're going to fast forward through a bunch of this, but. Crash. Yeah, so starting to sound like something now, right? And then I'm going to go through this whole process and try a bunch of different things that don't work and try to get it to where it's as good as it can be. Probably go in and tweak the drums a little bit, maybe add a bass, and then I would bounce it out and send it to the guys. Here, let me back that up. And it's nice because we can time stretch it and do whatever we need to do in order to figure out where it needs to be. Ultimately, once the guys get in the room, we start recording, that's going to be really the factor in determining where are we living with this. So again, I'd probably bounce this out. Well, I'd probably go in and tweak the drums a little bit, maybe add a bass, and then I would bounce it out and send it to the guys. And then if you really want to check this out ahead of time, what you can do is pitch the whole track, try maybe up one. So let's go back to the verse. Oh, listen to this. Okay, this is a good tip. Figuring out the key before you go and start tracking the song is a big thing. How do you figure out how do you figure out the best key of the song? The best way to do it is to have the singer try it and figure it out, number one, even if it's possible, if it's in their range. And so what I'm about to do here is actually something that's really important. So let me play this section for you. Okay, so you really want to check this out ahead of time. What you can do is pitch the whole track, try maybe up one. So let's go back to the verse. I hear you calling from the rain. It's ringing in my head. I close my eyes and wait for a smile. Start to fade. Until you fucked up all you it's got twisted. Then you can go down one. I close my eyes and wait for a smile. Start to fade. So I would print all three of those versions, maybe like the original that they sent it to me, the one semitone up, one semitone down with the pre-production, and I would send that to the band and tell the singer, be like, hey, can you make sure you can sing to all of these? And that way we can pick the one that sounds the best or that feels the best, right? Again, getting that figured out ahead of time is great. So let's check out this last module here, and then I'll jump in the chat for a second. One really big consideration with pre-production is perspective and context. So if you have the ability to, if you've got the time, if you've got a little bit of leeway with leading up to the recording session, if you've been doing the demos ahead of time, or if you've been doing some of the remote pre-production ahead of time, really utilize the opportunity to step away from the track for a little bit and then be able to come back to it. And that's something that I actually had the opportunity to do during the pre-production. And when I came back to what we were just working on in the previous segment, it felt so fast to me. So this song had been living in my brain for a couple days. And then as I was hearing it in my head, and it was just kind of, I was getting ideas, and it just started sounding finished and imaginarily finished. Once I pressed play on our pre-production session, it sounded so fast. So, okay, that happens all the time to me, all the time. When I'm working on something for the first time, I'm like, this is awesome, blah, 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 blah. We spend a day tracking it, and then you go for dinner and you come back and you're like, holy shit, this song's fast. And everything becomes very clear as to what it should be. So that was kind of my point on that. So I'm going to go to the next module. That was pre-production here. Oh, drums. In another life, I was a drummer. I know it. I know it. I can feel it every time I go to record drums, or every time I'm listening to an album, I'm listening to the drums. Anytime I'm mixing, I'm making another life. Okay. Let me hit the chat really quickly, and then we'll come back to this section. If you had questions going while I was doing that whole thing, feel free to post them again. I see, John, you are jumping in here and doing some stuff. Oh, Dave, man, you're chipping in here. Thanks, buddy. I'm just looking for questions. What I don't want to skip over anybody. No, didn't make IRs. Dan, you mentioned something in the chat here, and I think this is you articulated it in a slightly better way than I did. So you said in one of the post, or in your post here, you said Chris covers steps and processes that you didn't even think you needed to think about. It's granular on another level, which is insanely good. Thank you very much. Number one, I appreciate that very much. But that's a great way to kind of describe that. And the only reason, don't give me too much credit. If I was writing a book, I would have left half of this out because I don't even think to teach it. The only reason it's here is because of the concept of us documenting the entire thing and then just trimming out the fat that you don't need and leaving all the other stuff in. So, yeah. Does it go through the specific drum samples to get the sound for the final result? Always loved your snare sounds. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's part of my mixing process. So, when you get to the mix, well, I mean, we might even hit that today, but, there is some, as far as I remember, for every mix I do, I don't just use the same samples. I usually pick them based off of what I need. So, hard for me to remember, but I would be shocked if as I was picking samples, I wasn't talking about what I was looking for. So yeah. How many demos do you usually make? Like first around the building, the song scratch, and then one that sounds close to have a recording so you know what the song is or not? That's very band dependent, and it's also very dependent on what's the logistics of our session. Do I have the band for 3 days? And we got to nail everything in 3 days. Well, in that scenario, we're going to make sure the demo's pretty sorted out. But it also depends on who the main songwriter is and what their ability is. I work with some artists where, the main songwriter in the band is an incredible producer. They don't get hired to produce because they have a band that they keeps them busy and that's their job and that's what they do. But they could easily be a producer for every other band. So when they do demos, when they show me a demo, when I'm hearing a demo for the first time, it sounds like a record, which is sometimes good and sometimes bad. There's a flip side to that. And in this case, it was the opposite. The guys that I was recording, the band, the name of the band's Benny's Basement. They're up in Vancouver. They didn't have any recording experience. They didn't have any setup at home. They weren't using Pro Tools or whatever. It was very, very iPhone in the middle of rehearsal. And that's how we built it. So that's how it started. So everything in between. But has a song been released? You know what? That's another part of the lesson that I don't know if I ever would have thought to teach. That's a great question. I don't think they've released it yet. And that's also not uncommon in this industry is you go and do a record, even for a big band, and a year goes by and maybe it didn't come out, or maybe they've got something that they're holding on to it to, maybe they're going to do a tour announcement and they want to release a single at the right time, and maybe they're recording other material and they want it to be, that's all part of the thing. I not really my expertise, but I'm sure there's a rhyme or reason for it. So, okay. Do you also do tempo mapping on songs when transitioning from one tempo to another? Do you ramp it up, down during the whole bar? Do you change the tempo instantly? So for this song, I think I kept everything stock. But actually, I just finished a production on a song that the chorus is a different tempo than the verse, and it was more drastic than other times. Sometimes I bump it like half or one. Sometimes I drop it. This song actually dropped, so the verses were faster than the chorus, which is a little odd. But it when we listen to the chorus at whatever tempo, it sounded too fast, and then when we brought the whole thing down, the verse sounded funny. So in that scenario, there was a two bar. I think there was a 2-bar pre-chorus. And so I did the tempo change over the course of the 2-bar pre-chorus, but the very last chord of the pre-chorus hangs for like 2 or 3, I guess two beats. So a big chunk of that tempo change was done there. So it just kind of gradually comes down because you don't want to hear it slowing down. You just want to feel it flowing. So it kind of depends. This song, I'm pretty sure this song stayed the whole way through. I didn't feel it a necessity to do it. And again, for me, as you guys know by now, most things have a reason. So if this is all one tempo, it's because I didn't have a reason to not have it be one tempo. So hope that answers the question. All right, let's go back. Drums. Okay. We're not going to be able to watch these all. I mean, I want to watch these all, but there's 50 hours of stuff, right? So I'm just going to kind of drop the cursor on a couple spots and see what's what in each chapter. Here we go. Do a couple different mics on the kick. I'll do a kick in 91, which I brought. It's going to be in the in the bin there. I've got a for kind of like a, but this is more also once we start doing Pro Tools inputs, once we start getting mics up, like this is our roadmap for inputs.
It's weird for me. I'm really interested in the paperwork end of everything.
Well, here you go. This is awesome.
Yeah.
This is awesome. Okay. It's kind of a
I'm really curious to see
it's kind of a cool thing. So for that, it's going to be the Earthworks SR25s, which are here. Yeah. I mean, I like it as wide as possible. Because here's the thing, you can always pan it in.
Yeah, okay.
If let's say you've set it up and it sounds like this, and you're like, I want it wider. You can't do that. If I set it up and it sounds like this, and I'm like, it's too wide, easy. And here's the thing, people get carried away with phase, especially with drum kits.
Yeah.
There is no such thing as having all the mics perfectly in phase. It's
I agree with that.
physically impossible,
Yeah.
right? Especially considering we're talking about different sources. So it's like you can get the snare drum in phase, you can get the kick drum in phase, not at the same time. You can't. One of them is going to be closer, one of them is going to be further away, and the minute you move that one, now this one's half out of phase, and this one's half out of phase, and that one's half out of phase. So see, like that again, like that's something that I mean, I think about, but I don't know if I would have thought to actually like explain it to somebody. So there's all these. Yeah, this is great. Like I said, I'm watching this pretending it's somebody else's. So I'm not full of myself. I'm not, it's actually cringy. Every time I say something nice about the course, I'm going to pretend this is John's course. And that way I can say all the nice stuff I want about it and not feel weird. Okay. How about that? Ours, I've got, this guy is a little annoying though. He's a little obnoxious. They should have got a better host. I've got, we don't have 67s here, do we? Okay. Yeah. First of all, Chad is probably by far my favorite kick drum mic. But just set it on something where it's not moving around, it's not floating. This has like a plate on the bottom of it, so there's some weight to it. Okay. And then for the snare mics, just put them on a little like stereo bracket. And that way you can put them on one stand, you can line them up, they kind of stay lined up together as much as you can. Kick drum sample over top of the whole thing, and so now I'm not inventing ingredients, I'm changing the recipe.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So here we are literally introducing new spices that have never been used before by having that mic there, that mic there on this day with this drum kit, with these people in the room. Small. But all these little things add up to where it's like, cool, now there is a character to this recording. And I think there's also a little bit of a misnomer that all of the classic albums that people reference, not classic being old, but just like ones that people reference a lot. And totally. I think people think they're like, they were going for that thing and they had that target and they nailed it 100%. Like, I wonder how they got that thing. How did they get that thing? They were able to get it. And it's like, no, that's what they ended up on. They didn't know that's what they were going to get. Yes, John Bonham, they wanted a big bombastic sound, like, so they did the thing. Yes, they didn't know it was going to sound like that. By the way, this we might actually stick a mic up in that stairwell, depending on how noisy the construction is. So, and it's not that they blindly
awesome. The stairwell is in that studio is incredible, and I did put a mic there. I think
IR libraries that I love and that I hate.
Okay, so that's just me just doing my long-winded thing that I always do. So let's jump to getting drum sounds. It's one of my favorite parts of a recording session.
Okay, just kick for a second.
Just look at it right there.
Yeah, I'm just trying to even them out.
And normally that's something to a stereo.
Yep. So yep.
Really nice thing about having the guys that came and were there in person. Like I was obviously going to narrate kind of what was going on at the time, but like having them ask questions for you guys was incredible. That was something that I wasn't really planning too much on. So yeah, that was incredible. The guys that were there, man, they really brought this part of it to life, which was awesome.
Those are the PZMs. Times you can record it, you can go and look at it, you can flip the phase on playback, figure out right here. Yeah. See all that little stuff up there on the left side?
Yeah.
That's all high end. That's why they're all bunched together.
Okay.
Yeah. That's snare.
I never knew that. Like looking at a WAV file, that would be the top end.
Yeah. Point them at the back corners. Let's point them at just completely different places away from the drum kit.
Can you push this one back a little bit, like you were talking about?
Yeah. Well, we're gonna grab a tape measure and get that one measured, but I think we're gonna get this one completely.
You always have a tape measure. It's amazing how many people still don't do drum recording sessions with a tape measure or some sort of like rope that they can use as a tape measure.
They're very the sound hits the plate and it picks it up from the plate. So if you don't have one of these, speaking of this mic, so I think the last time I did add some low end to this guy.
Oh, noisy Neves.
In with the kick, but I'll probably do some adjustment on that after the fact. You'll go. Where is that crackle coming from? Can we go shorter on the toms? Just
the crackle of the Neves. Yes. Let's go to.
Can you just play? It's too far away, but it sounds.
Oh, here we go.
Get food and bring it back for him.
Give me 5 minutes.
I wanted to start him playing a beat, hearing him play a beat, so you can hear a little bit of the room here, because it's pretty.
Come on. Sounds great. Attack.
Okay.
Ooh. Okay. So obviously, I'm fast forwarding through a bunch of stuff, but imagine, you're sitting there while we're getting drum sounds and as I'm doing stuff, these guys are asking questions and I'm talking about kind of why am I putting a plug-in on the ride cymbal, you know, and you could hear me kind of finding that annoying frequency and notching it out, all that type of stuff. So, yeah, so like this is all, I mean, I just want to watch all this stuff. Okay, let's go to career advice. I stopped in the middle of tracking drums to give career advice. That doesn't sound anything like me. Change careers now. Just go. Just get out of here. Run as fast as you can. Kidding. I'm kidding. Okay, so we tracked drum, or we tracked the whole band live off the floor, but we were just kind of going for the drums. The reason why I like to do that is I like to be able to make like arrangement changes or tempo changes and hear everything happening like right away with the guys playing it. And also, the other nice thing about doing it that way is, and I can't remember if it happened in this session, but sometimes somebody will play something because, you know, a guitar player will play something knowing that we're not really getting their track. They're like, they don't have to worry, but they'll play something just being very like with zero inhibitions and like no insecurity, and they're like, and they might play something, or they might play something a certain way, and you're like, that was really cool. And then it sparks an idea. So if I have the opportunity, I always like having the band out playing together, specifically for just, I like to, how did I phrase it the last time I was explaining this? I like to let, trying to think, I had a line that I came up with and kind of forgot it. I'm going to butcher it, but it doesn't matter. The idea is I like to keep like opportunities for magic to happen, like just open, like let the universe give doorways for the universe to kind of like pull or push cool shit through. Whereas if just the drummer's out there just playing to a recorded track, you're not really opening up the universe to like some cool, you know, I don't want to say mistakes or happy mistakes, but just spontaneous magic, right? So the more you have everybody together and everybody's plugged in and everybody's being recorded, the more opportunity you have to maybe get something cool. And if you don't, well, so what? You're back where you started with that you would have been if, you know, you were just playing to a pre-recorded track anyway. So there you go. Okay, I'm gonna have a quick peek at the chat. Boom, boom. That chord was I tear my heart open, sew myself shut. That's great. Oh, Rick, thanks for jumping in on the pro level. We'll see you on the calls. It's going to be great. I appreciate you splurging for that. Yeah, I think you're really going to dig it. Okay, so let's fast forward here. We'll go to when we're getting the bed tracks. I mean, I'm still tweaking sounds here. More clip.
Do you like the click?
And I'm just letting the guys kind of get their headphones figured out. And these guys are like, we're pretty new to the whole studio thing. So like, that's the other thing. I don't know if I say this, I probably did, but there is a big component to being a producer or even an engineer. Sometimes if you're kind of the one driving the session, there's a big component that doesn't get talked about. You know, it kind of gets hidden amongst all like the technical stuff. Getting the band comfortable and like getting them confident and, you know, not, you know, spending 5 hours getting everything set up and then be like, okay, everybody's looking at you, go. Like kind of ease them into it. So even if you've got all of the sounds ready to go, if you've got a little bit of time, obviously, like, you know, maybe be like, hey guys, I'm just tweaking some levels in here. You guys get your headphones. Don't worry about it. Like we're just obviously we're tracking, right? But giving them the opportunity to warm up, giving them the opportunity to kind of just like get comfortable, and they're probably nervous and they're probably maybe a little bit out of their element, all that stuff, right? So
Right now, I know you're probably limited to like what you have there.
no. Save setting ads. I will gracefully embrace that.
As you would.
Taker, eh? because we're in Canada, there's a lot of what I refer to as hoser accents and hoser jokes. So hoser is like a, the hey, how's it fucking going, eh, bud? That's a hoser. Okay, here's another thing. Man, this is great. I love this. I don't know if you guys just picked up on something. So there's a lot of things that you got to watch for to pick up on something. I'm going to rewind it back like just 2 seconds. See if you can pick up on it. You guys see that? Did you pick up on it? It's amazing how many sessions I see of maybe, let's say, less experienced producers and engineers. No pen or paper to be found anywhere. In like your gut instinct, like if the drummer does something and you're like, I wish he did that, or oh, that was cool, or whatever. Like, gotta note it down. You gotta note it down. There is so much happening. If you don't note it down, you'll forget it. No matter how good your memory is, you'll forget it.
He went out. It's okay. Let's do it again. Run it again. Ready? Keep it running.
Yeah, it's gonna be good, guys.
Keep it running.
And again, we're just working with just don't worry about getting takes right now. We're not getting takes. I'm still adjusting stuff in here. I'm adjusting levels and EQ and all that shit.
If we go out, just fucking keep playing. Don't look
Yeah.
at me and fucking. You know.
I don't look at you.
Just fucking take her, eh?
Fucking done, right?
Fucking give her.
I love it.
Did you say that? That was C-Daddy?
Okay, so they were fucking up, right? And they were getting a little frustrated. And so again, it's like part of it is like, yeah, no, we're not getting takes. We're not getting takes here. Don't worry about it, guys. I'm still adjusting stuff. I'm not adjusting anything. Like, we're good. But just figuring out those little techniques, and nobody's gonna stop and tell you this is how you do it. You're gonna learn this by watching other people do it. And then you might say, hey, Chris bullshits the band and says, hey, I'm still adjusting stuff in here, or whatever. Maybe you're the guy who says, oh, I'm not recording anything. Meanwhile, you're recording it all. See, the thing for me is I like to build trust. So everything, I want to be as honest as possible, where some producers, they're like, they don't need to know that. They don't need to know that. They don't need to know that. I really like to let them know everything so that way we can build some trust. And even if I say I'm still adjusting stuff, well, I'm always adjusting stuff. So that's not a lie. But some guys say, hey, I'll let you know when we start recording. These are just rehearsal takes or whatever. Like, everybody's got their own thing. But how you get your thing is by witnessing this. I don't know, maybe there is a recording manual that they say, here's what you do when the band gets frustrated and can't get through the second verse of the song. Here's step one. I don't think there is one. I think the only way you can do that is just being exposed to like stuff like this. So let's jump ahead a little bit. I think this chapter, this chapter is probably one of the more important ones, if I probably had to guess, of this particular like section.
I gotta keep playing. Dude, that was some of the best stuff. That was so good. All that little accenty stuff was.
I was just about to say, the part that I played at the beginning of this chapter, which was probably like 2 hours before this actually happened, sounded like I started playing drums yesterday, and now all of a sudden it's sounding great. So there's a lot of stuff that happened in between that led to some confidence and some comfort and some just all of that stuff. So this is like I said, this is really cool for me to go back and watch.
4 count. Dude, great job. Okay, hold tight. I need one part. There's one part I don't have yet. And that's coming out of the first chorus into the second verse. So I'm just gonna play you what I programmed there, and let's just copy that, okay?
Yeah, that things really came together. They made it. They like completely turned a corner. So this is, like I said, this whole thing's 40 minutes. Very cool. Very cool. Let me hit this part. I'm curious what I was blabbing on about here.
Like yesterday was a tough day, right? We went through a ton of takes. There's some parts. I was throwing some part suggestions that were a little challenging, right? So we were in a little bit more of like almost like a technical headspace, which can be tough. Because ultimately it's like you don't want to be there. You want to be instinctive. You want to be playing with just kind of like almost like raw emotion. Yeah, you're playing the part, but you don't want to be like thinking about it all the time. And so when we hear the drums comped and we hear them edited and we can hear the song in context, and now it's less about the parts and it's less about the this and that and the technique and all the stuff like that. And it's kind of like now we're hearing the song and we're feeling the energy of the thing kind of put together. And so now we can start dialing in on like, okay, how do we level this up?
Right.
But when we're hearing it kind of a little bit more done, that's when you can start kind of feeling the energy and just even being a fresh day and coming in and having some perspective. Right. It's very important. I like when we've done a whole day of tracking drums and we're like 20 takes in and 27 takes in or whatever, and we're changing parts and people are getting frustrated and it's getting late and we're getting a little tired. Like you don't have a lot of perspective. So to really kind of narrow in on some of those details, to level it up and just squeeze every little ounce out of the song and the take, and how can we make this little part little better, and just kind of notch it up that way. It's tough to do that all in one shot. So coming in the next day after you hear it, whatever, or taking a break and coming.
So I'm just going through there. We one of the earlier videos, we comped all the drums and got everything sounding good so we could start recording the next part. Yeah. So this is kind of like day 2 here. Any questions? Put your questions back in the put your questions in the chat here and I'll jump to them here. Getters. Okay, I'm gonna have a peek at the chat. Where did you record this? Is that the warehouse? No, that's the Armory. The warehouse is also a great studio. The Armory, I like the room in the Armory. The Armory is just one studios, whereas the warehouse has a couple different studios. I love the area that the Armory's in. The Armory's one of my top 3 studios that I've ever worked at. So, question: you've said that the yellow is the new red. How loud do you overall record the tracks to not clip, but also to have some balls? You don't need to record loud to have some balls. On digital, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's not like a tape machine where you have to optimize like signal to noise, or you want to hit the tape machine and get something back. You don't have to actually hit it that hard at all. I'm like I said, you said it. I like it peaking where, when you're tracking, if it's peaking in the yellow, fine. I mean, even with a lot of the converters these days, there's still a little bit of headroom above the red. So when I'm telling somebody, I say peak as it's hitting the yellow. If I'm hitting red and nothing's sounding off to me, I won't get too bent out of shape about it, but there's no reason to record super hot anymore. So it's Letterkenny. Yes, exactly. There's some Letterkenny in this thing. There is some Letterkenny. That's funny. All right. Guitars. Okay, I got to jump back over to the screen here. Sorry, I was looking in the chat and I forgot to switch the screen. We gotta acknowledge we've got a special guest in the chat right now, Mr. Kyle Coffey. Kyle was one of our in-person attendees, and he just prompted the most amazing questions and just got me. He was like that little kid and with a wind-up toy, and he would wind me up and just let me like across the room. So Kyle, buddy, thank you for jumping in here, buddy. It's good to hear from you. Good memories. We gotta get the crew back together. This is great. So you'll see Kyle throughout. I'll point him out next time he's in frame here. That's probably his feet right there, maybe.
There's so many benefits to recording a DI. Like, there's really not a scenario in this day and age why I wouldn't, unless there was some setup or logistical reason why we couldn't. So
Makes editing way easier.
way easier.
You also
Yeah.
have a tip about when you do reamp to take a DI
Yep.
of the reamp.
So yeah, if you're gonna go, exactly.
That was pretty brilliant, actually.
Well, and you don't necessarily always need to do like you. I mean, you can take you can go out and then come back in, or even if you reamp, like even just copying down the DI that you use to get that, just so that way you're like, okay, I've got that DI with it.
Gotcha.
Is all because maybe the other thing gets erased, and you're like, oh no, this is the new sound. This is way better. We're going with the reamp.
That's Kyle.
And then you get rid of that
Hi, Kyle.
multi-mono track. And now you just have a mono track with the amp. Ultimately kind of gets us that character we're looking for. So if we're hearing some weird, like annoying peak,
Yep.
Oh.
would that EQ move translate to a guitar sound pretty like 1-to-1? And it does.
Here, I'm gonna back this up here.
But ultimately, listening to the white noise, kind of like,
Okay, so I'm talking a little bit about when I'm placing mics on cabinets. Sometimes what I'll do is I'll turn an amp on, no guitar plugged into it, because somebody starts playing it, they'll blow your head off. But I'll turn up the volume real loud so that way you can hear it like hissing. And I'll listen with some headphones in front of the cabinet, and I'll move the microphone around, listening to the input of the microphone, and you can hear like. And you find that spot that you kind of want the character. So if you want your guitars to sound like, you find a spot that's like, and that's probably going to give you a pretty good sound. If you don't want, then you move off that spot, right? So you're, and then you leave the microphone there. That was a great impression. Good job, Chris.
you're just turning a knob that you're sweeping, whereas like, where do I want that kind of overall spectrum to be? If you want bright and open and the whole thing, then you find the part where you're going, that's your spot. It's one of those things where you're like, I'm trying to apply the kind of just like the frequency curve. So if you've got white noise and you start EQing it,
Yep.
like, and that might be something that you want to do, right?
Okay.
To even like experiment
Have you
this.
ever run white noise through a guitar amp? Have you ever heard of, like, I've heard of guys doing this. I've never done it, but
I've never done that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's having a high gain amp hissing is about as close as you could probably.
That's for sure.
It's probably
That's what I was thinking. Like, a guitar amp hiss is white noise, basically.
and that's something that probably the reason why I say that is because I haven't really found a scenario where obviously like getting vocals and guitars to work together. That's a tough thing in a dense mix,
Sure.
especially like a big rock thing. I haven't found there to be like a recording technique that's been like, oh, if we do that, it's going to fix that problem all the time. It's always an EQ move. It's always a pan thing. It's always a ducking thing. It's such a variable.
There was a lot of conversation. I'm assuming a bunch of it got left in here, but there was a lot of conversation, and it really is when I'm producing. When I'm producing a record, it's especially if it's something, even if I'm not going to be mixing it, even if I'm going to have somebody else mix it. So much of the kind of the technical production stuff, and even some of the arrangement and just like the actual production elements, is almost thinking ahead to the mix and being like, how can mixing is hard. So how do you like make your life easier? So you're trying to solve some of those problems before you even get to the mix stage. So let's go to tracking guitars here. There was a lot of good conversation in here. That's kind of like, I think that would give some good kind of like technical insight as to, you know, various things.
Oh, whatever. What's our next?
It's open.
Yeah, let's keep these cards super clean. Only get what you need.
What do you want? Yeah, you want just
Root, fifth, octave. That's it. Yeah. For this, yeah, we're gonna keep this very rhythm. Get rid of any thirds that we don't need. That kind of shit.
Yeah.
Yep.
If not, we've got a fucking artistic guitar player. So
Okay.
remember we said that one? Sorry.
Did you say artistic?
Artistic, yeah.
There might be some offside jokes in here. Just warning you. We should have put a like a film rating. I've already heard a couple too many curse words, and there might be some offside jokes in here. So I'm just warning you all.
Okay, so here we're getting into some studio trickery right here real quick, okay?
Okay, let's see the
I
studio
want you to
trickery,
not
Chris.
play the second note. I want you to go past it, and then I'm going to punch you on the second note. I'll stop. You don't stop anything, and I'm going to punch you on the next one, okay?
This is actually a good trick that I use all the time.
Solid. Okay? Okay, now I'm going to punch you on that. Oops, sorry. 3, 4. Cool. Yep, that's the one.
There you go, Noah.
You're really good.
Sorry.
Okay.
That's not how I wrote it, man.
So again, talking about things that like I would never have thought to like teach somebody that. If somebody was like, give me rhythm guitar tracking 101, I probably would have forgot about that. Whereas like I just don't like the gap between the notes. I want it to be tight and just not have a big gap of that frequency and the whole thing falling out. So anyways, yeah, little stuff like that. I think those are just like the little, and I learned that from somebody else. I learned that from seeing somebody else do it and be like, that sounds way better. I'm going to do that from now on.
All good.
There's Kyle rocking out.
2, 3, 4. Try that. I think that's the part. We just need to nail it. Or do you want to hold on to it? No. Maybe we gotta push it. Go. Boom, 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 ba, 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 ba. Go. One more. There. There it is. That's awesome. Yeah.
Nice.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay, yeah, so.
Here's some more studio trickery.
More time. It's only so much I can do, man.
Okay, so that was basically whenever he would switch chords, the low notes would just kind of ring out, and so I would reach over and I do that all the time. It's hilarious when the first time I'm working. I do this to everybody. The very first time I work with a guitar player, and sometimes like we're so in it, and I don't even think to tell them what I'm about to do, and they're playing a part, and I just reach over and write da 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 da. Da 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 da, but and I'll just touch the string to mute it, and they'll look at me like, "What the fuck you doing, man? Don't touch my guitar." I'm like, oh, "I'm just muting the string. I don't want to hear that string ringing. It's messing things up." So, yeah, there's a lot of that kind of stuff. Let's go see what's going on. Tracking the guitar solo. I'm gonna leave that one for you guys on your own.
Yes. Really, really close. I love that. Okay, let's do that instead.
Okay, so there's a perfect example of like being like you don't figure everything out. You don't figure everything out ahead of time. Like this whole outro part was born in the studio. That wasn't part of pre-production. We ended up tacking this like section on to the end, which kind of revisits the intro. And I remember making a note somewhere saying like I want to revisit the intro riff somewhere, but I couldn't figure out where. And then it's kind of like how he's playing it. It's kind of like, well, it's not just playing. You're not playing exactly like the intro. You're playing a little different. And like, again, this is all part of production and being able to recognize kind of that's cool, that's not cool, that's cool, that's not cool. Or, figuring out, let's try something else. Let's get a different sound. Let's get a different part, all that fun stuff. Man, I got to figure out a way to carve out like 50 hours so I can go watch all this stuff. Oh, no. Let's go bass. Discussing on bass editing, trusting your intuition, and having great members. Let's actually go back to tracking bass. I remember bass being a little bit difficult.
Sans amps,
just trying to get the
all that
bass
shit.
to stay in
I thought already,
tune, and everything was kind of tuned down pretty low, and it was a little floppy, but
that'll duplicate. Yep. I always like to get something kind of a little clanky alongside the DI.
No compression on the way in, huh?
Usually just on the back end.
Okay. Later.
And that's usually to help with, if I know I'm going to be chopping, it's easier to see transients when you don't squash it all down.
Okay.
oh, yeah, that's a good point too. He asked, he goes, you're not compressing the DI on the way in. And I said, no. And he's like, oh, okay. Well, and I said, well, if you know you're going to be chopping it up, like, like you're doing a production where it's going to have to be chopped tight, edited tight. I won't compress on the way in so you can see the transient more. If you squash it, it just looks, you can't even tell where the note starts sometimes. So then you can do it after the fact. So, it was kind of an interesting little tip.
It's there. Top to bottom again?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
I don't want any of the notes muted. Just play. Like that. Okay. There we go. This is going to be fucking heavy.
Yeah, it is.
This is the part that we wrote in the studio.
1, 2, 3, 4. Down. Yeah.
Cool.
That's going to be cool. One more time. One, two,
So drive punch on that double time part 2.
Just talking about double time. Nope. No, you hesitate. You guys hesitate on the. There we go.
Great. No, this is I just, you know what, I love watching this kind of stuff, even if not even if it wasn't me, especially if it wasn't me, I would probably watch it more. No, but I've told this story before, like the making of the Black Album, that movie where they're in the studio, like that got me into making records. Like I watched that and I'm like, I want to do that forever. I don't know if this is going to have that same impact on you guys, but I find watching records being made like very entertaining, even if I'm not necessarily learning anything. Like I obviously know all this stuff and I'm finding this entertaining. So this is fun. I'm going to hit the Q&A. I'm going to hit the chat again, and then we're going to go on to vocals. Vocals were cool. We did a couple of unique things with the vocals. We had a little bit of a challenge that we had to work through that we did, speaking of the Black Album. Okay, let's hit the chat real quick, and then we'll come back to this. How's everybody doing? Is everybody just good? Is this boring? Everybody want to move on? Does anybody want to see the rest of this course? How often do I tune bass? Like once a year? I don't know. No, like every note. I'm one of those guys that I'll have a bass player like play do 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 do, and I'll stop, tune, do 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 do, stop, tune, but like I'm one of those guys. Constantly tuning. Same with guitars. Like I tried to cut out a little. I think we cut out a lot of the stop, tune, do it again. Stop, tune, do it again. The guitar that we ended up using for this session had an Evertune bridge, which for those of you who struggle with tuning, that will be, especially if you work with bands who like to double and quad track guitars and you have other people coming in and playing, the Evertune, oh man, easily the best money I've ever spent when it comes to guitars. So, okay, I'm going to check the chat here. Yes, I'm very excited that this is out too. If you haven't guessed, Paul DeCarly in the house. How's it going, my friend? I love this. I miss doing these. And you know what? I've been promising for, now we're running on years. I've been promising, I'm going to do it. I've been promising for a long time that I'm going to do one of these, and Paul is going to come on as my guest, and we are going to talk all things and no things editing. No. I'm gonna pick his brain on all the, I don't know, Paul, can I say who you edited for in the mid to late 90s? Is that public knowledge? Did you have to sign NDAs? I don't want to say grandpa, maybe like, great uncle. Yes, I can say, or yes, you had to sign NDAs. I'm waiting, Paul. Come on, YouTube. I want the answer. I'm hanging. Oh, I meant pitch. So, yeah. Go ahead. Oh, okay. So Paul worked with Bob Rock for, I don't know, 10 years. So Paul was Bob's editor for a good chunk of time. He'll save the story. We just got to get you on here. Let's do one. But anyways, Paul's edited Metallica records, and he got to work with my favorite, like the people who made me want to make records. Basically, Paul spent a significant amount of time working with. So, I'm just going to geek out with you on all that fun stuff. So, okay. How often do I tune bass? You meant pitch correcting after it's been recorded. Often. Only as needed, but often. We did on this track, especially when you get those low floppy notes, because the low floppy notes, I like the sound of the clank. I like the clank, clank, clank. But if you do that, they go blow, 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 right? No good. If you're really light with it, I don't like the sound's not there, but the tuning's there. I can fix the tuning. I can't make it clanky if it's not clanky. So, although I care about tuning, I can fix it after the fact, especially it being one string with the bass, a lot easier than anything else. So yeah, 100%. Thank you for clarifying that. I was like, how often do you tune the bass? Like every 10 seconds. Dan, you're upset that my hair looks so good. My hair does look a little good today, although I'm starting to lose it a little bit there. And I saw my hairline looked a little bit better 2 years ago, so I might not be far behind you, buddy. The mixing section. Oh, somebody asked about the mixing. Is it cover the technical aspects of mixing? And I'm going to jump down to one of our beta testers here. He says the mixing section will blow your mind. Well, I'm going to fast forward to. We're going to get the. I can't talk. I'm going to show you this this vocal mic part, and then we'll probably jump to editing, and then we'll probably jump to mixing because, like I said, like I'm just touching on parts here. There's a lot. The mixing thing is something that, like that, you just gotta find a day that you got nothing going on and just like watch the whole thing because there is a flow to it. I don't know if you can kind of drop the cursor on the mixing one and really get the most out of it. Some of this other stuff you can kind of jump around a little bit, but the mixing stuff, I think you kind of have to watch from beginning to end, and hear how it develops and hear almost like when you see me do a move, if you didn't know why I was doing it, all you had to do is just like rewind 2 minutes before that and you'd be like, oh, okay, now I know why he's doing that. So anyways. Okay. Back to it. Okay, let's check this out. This vocal mic situation was a little unique.
Yeah, these Townsend
Not the mic, the vocal, just the vocal setup, but
mics, they've triangular worked with if we're
For obvious reasons.
I'm going to jump over this stuff
naturally
here.
are more gravitate more towards that thing. But that's also the fact that this doesn't. You would also use that for a singer where you're like, oh, just like the mouth noise and the this and the that.
Oh, hang on, I want to hear what I was talking about.
It's fine.
Right.
It's when you want all that other stuff. See, Sony 800 is not my favorite. But something in that nature, something bright that's got a very extended top end.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because the SM7 doesn't.
Yeah, right.
So that's kind of the only thing. The SM7, kind of basically from, I don't know, maybe 12, 14K down, it's fine.
Right.
It's when you want all that other stuff. You want that air. You want that little bit of extra.
Sibilancy part.
I think of it this sometimes, like when you have somebody up on a mic, and you can hear the bubbles on their tongue.
Right. Okay.
Right. The saliva bubbles on their tongue.
Yeah.
SM7 doesn't really do that.
Sure.
A lot of these other mics do. Condensers just naturally are more gravitate more towards that thing. But that's also the fact that this doesn't. You would also use that for a singer where you're like, oh, just like the mouth noise and the this and the that and whatever. It's like I don't want that extra detail. You'd use an SM7 to get rid of it. So something that could be looked at as a deficiency could also be like a feature.
Yeah.
Right.
Sure.
But to me, again, if I was doing something really kind of soft and quiet and maybe like really intimate, and I wanted to feel like that person's right there, and it's not a recording, but it's like lifelike.
Yep.
I mean, the 50 or the SM7, yeah, you could make it work,
Yep. Right.
but that's not my go-to.
Right.
If you're just doing like belting, yelling, singing, whatever, SM7 is awesome.
Sure.
Okay, I'm going to jump to the vocal mic shootout.
Now. Hello.
Check.
Check.
All right.
Hello. Check.
Do you like any verb or any sort of sauce on the vocal? You want it dry? What do you
Just
prefer?
try to dry it first. And see
Strut?
how
Yeah,
we
cool.
go.
Yep. All right, take it from the first verse. Just kind of get your levels adjusted there and get comfy.
Until today I walk away from this bitter place. Nice. No, it's all good. I'm just trying to figure out which ear to keep out.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, let's do one more.
That's a little foreshadowing of the next section that I'll get to. I will highlight. So it's kind of a, like I said, unique scenario.
Till today I walk away from this better place. And I'm bleeding from this hollow mess. Walk away from this better place. Held the hand of sorrow from this better
Sorry, setting levels. One more time.
That point of view, it's got me twisted. And I'm bleeding from this hollow mess.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay, last one.
Held the hand of sorrow too long.
One more time. What's that? Oh yeah, yeah they do. Yeah, 800. Yep.
From this better place. Held the hand of sorrow too long. Now it's gone away. Your hands to me.
Okay, so we did a vocal shootout, and then we basically what I do this pretty much with every singer that I'm working with for the first time, is we'll go and listen to everything.
Fucked up point of view. Till you fucked up.
One that stands out that works better. So, all right.
Twisted.
So there we go.
From this better place. Held the hand of sorrow too long. Now it's gone away. From this better place.
Different mic.
Held the hand of sorrow too long. Now it's gone away. Dead.
Anybody else want to hear it again?
5.
5?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Hands and knees on idle graves. What I wanna say about my tongue, it tastes of rust before I fade away, 'cause I'm addicted.
Is there any one that's like not happening for anybody?
The dark one. There was a. It's funny. I kind of got away from
Dark one. Give me the number.
I thought number 4.
Uh-huh.
I liked the clarity, but I felt like it was moving a little bit too
Okay.
much.
Okay.
So I would probably pull number 4 as a no.
Okay.
You know, for me right off the bat.
Okay.
I liked the sound of 4 initially.
Okay.
On playback, it kind of wasn't my favorite.
I'll tell you what everything is a little bit. We're going to do one more listen through, and then we're going to pick one. Nothing bad, and we're going to pick one that works great, and then we're also going to have lots of options for backgrounds.
Now it's gone away. To rust before
I need to.
fucked up point of view. It's got me twisted.
Okay, isn't that what we want from a vocal, to be like a little bit out there? I need to.
Sibilance and a little bit more of the presence on the other one. But again, so we are splitting hairs, but this is actually a really good A/B, because I feel like the difference between these two, we've got two that are probably at the top of the list,
Right.
but we've got two different styles.
Right.
So now we have to make a decision.
Understood.
And so, is there a better decision? And that's kind of what we're talking about. It's like, what decision do we want to make?
Okay.
My tendency, this is my tendency, knowing I'm mixing this track, my tendency is I just have a challenging time getting vocals to be loud and upfront with also then without them being harsh. That's a problem I run into all day long. Sure. So if you have a problem where you're like, whenever I mix a track, everything sounds good and I'm always struggling to get the vocal out front or get the vocal bright enough or get the vocal present enough, well, that might inform which way you go. And this is why, like I said, everybody's got their own ways of doing things.
So what I was saying there was like we found two really, really great vocal mics that worked really well on them. And one was really present. Sounded great. There wasn't anything wrong with it. And one was a little smoother. And I was saying, I have problems getting things to not be harsh in the vocal in a big rock mix. So I'm going to go with the smooth one to help myself out. Whereas other people might say, I can never get a vocal that present and it's always kind of muffled and whatever. And it's like, okay, well, you should go with the brighter one. And they were both good options. But I think this is the part that I wanted to show you guys.
So we're going to try something. And Jess is like, you fuckers. We're going to try to accommodate this fucking diva. Kidding. We're going to try a trick that I know a lot of people used to do. I haven't heard of people doing it recently, but singing with headphones can kind of be a little bit of a challenge. Not just like, it's actually quite common. The more you do it, like maybe you get used to it, or some people take one headphone off so they can hear them. You're not hearing yourself through everything. You're actually hearing yourself in the room.
Is that ever problematic when someone keeps a can on?
Usually not, as long as it's like up against their like neck or their head or something like that. It's not like. And what the trick is to sing without headphones. We're going to put 2 speakers in here, and what the trick is, you set up the speakers the exact same distance from the mic, like the left, and you have to measure it out, make sure they're exactly the same. You flip one speaker out of phase. It's going to sound a little weird for Matt. Like, just, it's not going to sound like
Hi-fi.
not hi-fi. It's just you're gonna hear it a little bit. Like, you're gonna be like, something's a little out, right?
Right.
Usually do it with little speakers so the bottom end doesn't get weird.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So
okay.
a lot of the time people would do this with oratones.
Gotcha. Okay.
And so what we might even do is we might just like use the mixer and roll off some low end.
I like it.
And the idea is that when one's out of phase, the sound waves that are going here, sound waves that are going here, when they get there, they cancel out, and it really cuts down on bleed.
Yeah.
So that's the other thing. We're also going to make sure everything's going mono here. He's not going to have anything stereo, right? So we're going to make sure everything's straight up. One's out of phase. Boom. There.
So we recorded all the vocals with no headphones. And for anybody who gets the middle tier or higher, when you get the multitracks and you listen to the vocal, you're probably going to call bullshit. You're going to be like, no way. You can hear a little bit of, like, you can hear a little bleed, but man, I've recorded vocals with people on headphones who just like the headphones really loud that has more bleed than what we were able to get by doing this 2-speaker measured to the exact distance of the mic, out of phase, mono, the whole thing. I hadn't done it in a long time. I have done it before, but I haven't probably done it in 15 years. And so I was, as I was suggesting this, I was kind of like, oh man, I hope this works. I can't remember how well it worked, and it worked great. Matt just didn't like singing with headphones on. And again, when you watch through this whole thing, you'll see he went from like not really being able to like really like nail anything. He became a different singer immediately the minute we took the headphones off him. I don't know if you saw when we were doing the mic test, he just didn't. Some singers don't like headphones. Simple as that. But yeah, this really works. It really works. I'm not full of shit. I mean, I'm half full of shit, but this part wasn't.
Yeah.
Okay. Vocal. And the.
Okay, let's just jump ahead here.
Till today I walk away from this bitter place. Held the hand of sorrow too long. Now it's gone away. Hands to knees on idle graves. Words I wanna say. And bite my tongue, it tastes the rust before I fade to gray.
Killer.
Steam.
You know what?
No, I'm good.
You good? I'm going to give you half as much a pre-roll here, so you're not waiting around for a half hour.
Got a really cool voice, almost like a Chris Cornell kind of sounding
I want
voice.
you to go like almost like a little bit like if we're
That's kind of what drew me to want to work with these guys when I was looking for a band to do this with, and I kind of put out a little bit of a cattle call with all the people that I knew in Vancouver. And when I heard his voice, I'm like, this is going to be cool. This is going to be really cool. So let's just jump forward a bunch here.
It's my fault. I started at the
I
wrong
don't know
spot.
if I can
All
get that
good.
low without being real growly. Thank you.
Yeah.
The ladder, but yeah.
I'm paralyzed by wanted eyes. These things I can't escape.
One more like that. We got it.
I woke today
Got my
bound
pen
by
out.
chains
You guys noticed that,
in
right?
a hurricane. I'm paralyzed by wanted eyes. These things I can't escape.
Okay, now I need one with the emphasis on the beginning of each word. Here we go.
Woke today bound by chains in your hurricane. I'm paralyzed by wanted eyes. These things I can't escape.
I would say, man, I've had the opportunity to work with like the best of the best, like vocal producers when I was younger. Like I was engineering for them, and just watching some of those guys, like I picked up on a ton. This is going to be a really interesting chapter or module for you guys to watch. I feel like every single person I've ever met or I've ever been in the studio with has a slightly different way of recording vocals, communicating with a singer. There's just like, it's such a very variable, like there's so many variables, right? And there's a wide range of ways to do it, and kind of what your demeanor is, how you interact with the artist, and all of the stuff. This is one where you just like you could watch 10 guys record vocals, and they all do it a different way, and you're gonna learn 3 or 4 things that you are now gonna do from now on. Everybody's got their own little things, and it's like the more people you watch recording vocals, kind of like this, where it's happening and they're not really stopping to teach you, or it's not like, oh, here's the recording vocals 101. Like just watching somebody do this. Any opportunity you get to go to a studio, or if there's any other videos like this, I haven't seen a ton, but like this is one to watch maybe a couple times and just like pick up on the real like kind of subtle nuances of kind of what he's doing and what you would be listening for if you were in my shoes, and how you would communicate that to him. And yeah, it's interesting. It's a real interesting thing. Even watching this, it's kind of making me think about like just producing vocals. I'll touch upon this and then we'll jump ahead.
So if I'm talking to you like this, kind of in monotone and whatever, there's no real way for me to change that, right? But if we're talking and I'm really into it, I'm like, believe what I say. Like I'm really talking to you right now, and you understand, and you're feeling this emotion from me right now, right?
Yeah.
I can't make that happen.
Gotcha.
But the whole cadence of my whole thing, I can change all that.
Right.
I can put that whole little diatribe to a beat.
Gotcha.
Right? But I can't do any of that.
Any of this conversation, you could make a song out of, really. With, like, you could
Yeah.
chop it up,
Yep.
make notes
Yep.
out of it, and it could sing with a hooky.
And so like it's a weird thing. I don't know, maybe I'm more sensitive to others, but like it's like you gotta through the microphone, if you just kind of, you're like, oh yeah, in the air when I'm singing this thing, it's like sounds like I'm really like emotional. Right. Through the microphone, it sometimes just comes across as like, in the context of a track, it's like very flat.
Right.
Not pitch wise, but just kind of like like I don't feel anything.
Right.
So it's almost like you have to amp it up. And when you say animated, that's exactly what it is. You have to be more animated.
Gotcha.
For that thing to come through. Sometimes people, like, it's interesting. There's a couple singers in particular that I've worked with. They're like, I feel so silly.
I'll tell a quick story. It was in that studio, in that exact same vocal booth. A couple Nickelback albums ago, there was a song called A Million Miles an Hour. And Chad's vocal take on that track, I remember, and I think we might have video of it somewhere. Like he might have video on his phone. And the song's, we're going 1,000,000 miles an hour, ooh, 1,000,000 miles an hour, right? And he's singing, and it's like really, he was like overdoing it, and he was like like sweating and he's gritting his teeth and whatever. And it was like that's that point exactly. And actually, it's funny that I'm talking about that in that room because I'm staring at that vocal booth right now. We're all staring at it. That's where that song was recorded. And I remember doing that vocal take with them. And it was just like, okay, more. And it was like, "Argh!" And then, but you listen to the song and you don't, you feel it and it sounds a good way. It doesn't sound like an overdoing it, but the microphone for some reason, like it's almost like it dials down everything. You think it would be the other way. You think it would like magnify it, but it actually like once you put it in context of a production, it's like you need that whatever emoting level that you have. It's like once you start getting in the studio, it's like you got to like double it. So, yeah, it's cool. Okay, let's go to the next module. I actually want to watch the rest of this, but we are 2 hours in. You guys are troopers. We haven't even started editing yet. I better jump ahead. Oh, yeah. Hey, how about we look at what else you get in this? Okay, so for every module, I'm getting so caught up in watching this. I'm just like, you get a little kind of overview of like what's going on, right? I'm reading here. The in-between moment. And I'm assuming this is kind of something I was saying or something I was alluding to. Mutt would coach them to sing, and he was always talking about the emotion is at the end of the words and going into the words. It's like these little things, these little cries at the end of a line. That's where all the emotion comes from. Yes. So there's all these kind of like little things as you're watching along with the video. We've got some extra little kind of tips here, and those are in every module. So let's jump ahead. Please don't take this as me trying to sell you this course. But I am so excited for you guys. I really am. I'm like, man, I hope like another 20 guys do this. I would buy them. Like I would buy my friends' courses to see them make records like this. Like this is like I'm just like enthusiastic just watching this. I'm excited for you guys to just be able to see this whole thing because I can't think of other scenarios that have really been like this. So, somebody asked earlier about editing, so I'm just gonna show you the drum editing because I edit all the drums here. So I've got a comp. Each new Beat Detective isn't the greatest at. So the few things that I use Beat Detective for, going through and analyzing all of the hits, let's say the kicks, and adding sync points and separations to those is great. Doing the same for the snare. Paul DeCarly, if you're watching, don't judge me. Doing the same for the toms, although the toms sometimes it doesn't do the best job at. Same with cymbals. And so actually doing all the clip separation, it does a pretty good job at that. Clip conforming. It also does a good job at clip conforming as long as all of your edits were put in the right spot. And snares. So I only wanted to add an edit where there already isn't an edit, which is hopefully going to be just on those toms because there's a lot of. Holy shit! This is 3 hours long. This is like editing masterclass. Okay, so you know all that shit that I said at the beginning about like this is me making a record. It's not a tutorial. I think this part actually is very tutorial. I think if you don't know how to edit drums, you're going to know how to edit drums after this. So let's deal with that now. And we're actually going to put a cut in there and move that as well. Example of this is problematic, right? Let's cover that up. Let's make sure that's as tight up against there as it can be, and then this was that fill that was problematic. So we're gonna have to come back to that. Yeah. So I show you later on in this. I show you how to fix that. So if you've ever edited drums and you realize like there's too much space between a hit, and when you drag it out or you drag it back the other way, there's almost like that loopy sound, like that little stutter edit sound. I show you how to fix that in a really, really, really great, seamless way without it sounding all fucked up from having to get all the weird time stretching. We also show you how to gate toms, how I do it, making drum triggers. Although since I did this, me and Irene, my editor and assistant, we have a slightly different way of doing it now. We did a live stream on that, I think last year, where we kind of tested a bunch of different ways. And so we've got a slightly different way of doing that. Guitar editing, same thing. I walk you through how to edit. The guitar and the bass editing is a little, the drum editing is kind of like, that's where you're going to get your editing, kind of learn all the editing skills, and then applying them the same type of like kind of application to editing and editing bass and guitars. The same kind of theories apply, but it's so much easier with drums because the transients are so easy to see, right? There's a lot of space in between the hits. So it's like the kick drum hits and then goes away. So you have all that room to sew the edit together. Guitars and bass is a little harder, but it's the same tool set. It's the same idea. So watch the drum one first. The bass and the guitar one are a little bit more, the bass and the guitar one are a little bit more kind of like, I quickly go through it so that way you can kind of see how it's done. But I think Irene actually edited the guitars and the bass on this particular project for me. So I actually went back to do this. That was one of the beta group suggestions, was like, can you have a guitar and bass editing one? So it's a little bit more brief than the others, but it's there nonetheless. Vocal comping and editing. This is actually a couple of years ago, I had somebody approach me about doing a course just on this. I wasn't happy enough with my place in the world yet to put myself out there as an educator. So I never took them up on it. But this again, this to me could be a standalone. You could fast forward to this section and just watch this and probably get a lot out of it. But so one of the benefits of being able to, you can see just the timing is very different on this, right? So what you can do while you're at this phase of the editing process, if you want to do a little bit of timing while you're kind of doing your comp editing, you can. And again, see, I was talking about kind of lining up the waveforms. That's going to be a cleaner edit, right? And again, we did move the timing a little bit, but it's not significant enough. This tone's probably the most similar. Like two. So I'm listening for doubles. So I show you, like, one of the things that I do when I'm comping. I feel like I've spoken about this before somewhere else, but it's good reminder. I know a lot of people, when they build doubles, or if they get a bunch of takes and they're trying to find doubles or triples, they'll listen through all the takes and they'll say, oh, well, no, take number 4 was the best and take number 7 was the second best. So that's their lead and their double. I don't subscribe to that theory. I subscribe to, you find your best take, that's your lead, and then you listen to all the takes again to find which take sounds the best with the lead. Because the two best takes don't all necessarily sound the best together. Sometimes the lead sounds better with one of the less desirable takes just because of the way that it all kind of mixes together and enhances itself. Other times the two best takes sometimes are the ones that sound best. So it just, I go through and listen for the double to see what sound I like. And it's not always about what matches up the best. It's just what's creating the sound I want. Sometimes when you're doing doubles, you want it to sound a little bit like loose. You don't want it to be lining up perfectly. And other times you almost like want it to sound like vocal lined, like right out of the gate. So it depends on what you're going for. But again, this is 2 hours of comping this vocal while I'm narrating, and you're getting a lot of kind of the whys I'm picking certain things. See if I can get a slightly more of a t. Oh yeah, then. Well, that's the other thing I do a lot. I will grab syllables. I will grab consonants and just, if I like the way a T sounds, I'll grab just a T and I'll tack that on whatever other take I want.
Time to taste.
Let's try that one. A little sharper. There it is. There we go. Okay. So literally just took the T. Just the T. Interesting. Okay, vocal tuning. We go into tuning. Tuning and timing. I use Melodyne.
Okay, so with Melodyne,
we'll also end up adjusting things that maybe are a little bit out, but they sound.
My tongue to taste the rust. Taste the rust. Taste the rust. Taste the rust before I taste.
Okay. Again, if you end up buying the course and you go through this, you'll notice this, but I'm just kind of highlighting a few things. So, like, you know, if you're just kind of curious as to what kind of things are in this. One of the things with Melodyne, I very rarely snap stuff to the grid. As you just saw, I heard those two notes are at a time. I just move them. There's a modifier key. I can't remember what it is, option maybe, and it will let you just move the note independent of any grid, or you can turn the snapping to grid off. And I just move the note until it sounds good. And that's one of the ways that you can make vocals sound a little more natural, but in tune. If you just snap it to the grid, unfortunately, sometimes it still isn't right, or it's like when everything's snapped to the grid, it just sounds that's when I start hearing tuning. So I do a lot of stuff off the grid, but centered on the note and obviously listen by ear. That's something that I know somebody pointed out at one point when they were watching me edit vocals, I don't know, probably about a year ago. They're like, that's weird. You don't snap stuff to the grid. And I'm like, no, I just move it until it sounds like it's good. Obviously, I've been tuning vocals for years, so being able to do that is an acquired skill, but...
Hands and knees on idle graves with words I wanna say, with words I wanna say, with words I wanna say.
Okay, here's another tip that I hope I said something in here about it, but if I didn't, you're going to get it now. When you're editing your double, make sure you're listening to your lead, because the double's never going to be played in the mix by itself. So make sure you edit it while listening to the lead. I know so many people who edit their double as if it's the lead. And then so you end up with two leads. And then you've kind of wrecked the thing that you comped the double to sound good with the lead for. So make sure, you don't always have to. You can edit, you can kind of, depending on how off it is, like you can edit one and then edit the other. But then when you're kind of doing fine tuning, make sure you're listening to the double with the lead, right? Separate that out as well. Bring that down.
Too long, now it's gone away. Hands and knees on idle. Hands and knees on idle. Hands and knees. Hands and knees. Hands and knees. Hands and knees. Hands and knees on. Hands and knees on idle.
Pull that up.
Hands and knees on idle. Hands and knees on idle.
When I used to work at home, like years ago, when it's like I just had like a setup in a bedroom, and my wife, I'd be editing vocals at night, and she'd hear this coming through the wall. She would just be like, "Oh my God, how do you do this?" Just like the same part over and over and over and over and over. Oh, hilarious. Okay. I'm going to hit, this is actually a cool section here. Okay, so now we're at a point where we're hearing all the band's parts in context. We've had a chance to go through and get a rough mix, do all of our editing, and we're hearing the song kind of finished in a sense of where we can start making decisions on, is there something missing, production things, effect type thing. Yep. The shaker, I'll either like hear them and that. here. So this whole section, again, this is actually a cool section. This is one of my this is one of my favorite parts of making making a record is kind of like this extra ear candy production. This is when, if the band is just a kind of a typical 4-piece rock band or whatever the song deals with, instrumentation wise, just I like big, more kind of slick records. And so just because there's 2 guitar players, a bass player, and a drummer doesn't mean there can't be some percussion. It doesn't mean there can't be some synths and some sound effects and some swells and all that stuff. I gravitate towards that type of stuff. I like it. I tend to make music that kind of benefits from it. So this section kind of goes through a little bit of my thought process. And I just heard a little clip of me saying, like, I just want to fill this section out a little bit. So I have this low synth going through the song, and then it comes to that big heavy part. I just want that low end to stay in there. It's not that I want to necessarily hear that instrument. I just want to hear that. I just want to feel that low end in it, right? So, and again, you've got all your kind of overviews here. I want to hear this in-between moment. I love these in-between moments. We're not going to simply pile on a bunch of stuff. It's because we feel like it needs some dynamics or it needs some other texture. The purpose of this was to kind of fill in some of those gaps. Just a little bit of ear candy. Exactly. Okay, mix prep. Now, I've got I think 3. Do I have 3 or 4 live streams specifically on mix prep? But this one's a little bit more cohesive. So big part of my we can apply it all to here. Something's weird there. Okay, this is actually a really, really great example of something. So I didn't start, like, I did all the production, I did all the editing, I did the recording. Like, we got to this point where I'm like, okay, it's time to mix prep. Yet you're seeing me adjust the timing of some of the strings, and I'm moving some stuff around, right? If you didn't take time to do mix prep, you would end up doing this while you're trying to mix, or you'd be wondering why your mix sucks and then realizing it's because, like, you're trying to mix a bunch of dense layers that aren't in time, and it's not like. Now, would you throw this in editing? Well, not really, because, like, this is kind of, you start hearing stuff later that now everything's kind of piling on. And when I was programming the strings, I didn't really hear it. But now that I'm starting to put the magnifying glass on and being like, I want to make sure when I sit down to mix, I'm not fucking around with any of this stuff. That's when you start you're like catching some of your mistakes. Something that I used to tell my assistants all the time is, like, if you screw something up, but you catch it before anybody else notices and you fix it, well, then did you really fuck up? Well, like, nobody knows, right? It's like the tree falling in the woods. Does it make a sound? And so, like, a lot of my workflow is I build in, like, the next step also kind of does quality control on the previous step. And so when I get to like this mix prep, I find I catch a lot of other things that maybe slipped in the editing or slipped in maybe the production, or I hear something and then I'll put it in. So this mix prep stage is a really, really great spot to separate from mixing. I know so many people who just start mixing once the track is kind of like probably at the point where this was when we started. Take time. Like, look, this is 2 hours. That's the first video. How long is this video? So you've got like almost 3.5, 4 hours of mix prep. Somebody be like, what is it taking so long? But then when you start mixing, you're like, oh, this is coming together nicely. This isn't a pain in my ass. I can be creative. I'm in a good headspace, all that stuff, right? So how I like to do mix templates, at some point I'm like, I want to have a parallel line for. So this is more less about like prepping the track, and this is more about like getting the session ready to go and getting all my template in there and all that stuff. So track as if that's. I'm going to skip over this because you guys have probably already seen some of that. That's already out there, but let's go to. All right, here mixing. Check this out. This was actually one of our beta tester's suggestions. He's like, at the beginning of every video, just do a little, or every chapter, do a little thing where you can kind of give people a little bit of a preview. Check this out. This is kind of fun. Shows you where we went. That's after retract. Here's the rough mix. So this is what when I was done all the production, I sent the rough mix to the band so they could hear it and we can make any changes, right? Here's the rough mix. Okay, and then we've got our final mix. I really dig this song. I haven't heard this song in a while. I really dig this. Love his voice. Love the way this whole thing came together. Okay, mixing. This is literally you guys sitting in the room with me while I'm mixing. I think at the time of me doing this, I don't think I'd ever actually done it before. Just document this whole process. But okay, processing on the folder track. Its own, put that on its own. We just want to give this some variation, so I'll show you what this is. A interesting sample trick that you can use if you're using a one-shot sample to make it not quite so. All right, so now we've got the same sample here, so I'm just going to call this alt. We've got the same sample loaded into both the T3 trig and the T3 trig alt. But what I'd like to do is go in and just alter the tuning of the tom sample a little bit. So I'm just going to solo just these two samples. It sounds like a machine. It sounds like, one-shot sample. Da, 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 right? We're trying to get rid of that. The other thing we can do is we can also take a little bit of attack off when we're doing. So here, let's just try this. Transient designer. We're just going to automate some attack off of the one shots. And this will make it a little less of a thing. Let's make that a little smaller. Okay. All right. So we are going to automate the bypass of this, turn it on. Synchronized head bobs. Okay, so that was a little trick that I do when you're dealing with one shots, either like sometimes happens on snare or toms where you're using a sample, especially a one shot. Take every other hit, put it on a different track, tune it slightly different, maybe EQ it slightly different. Just kind of, you're just trying to create some variation between the two. And by putting it on another track, you have full control. So sometimes you can, if he's doing da 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 da, and you want more dynamic, you can ride it however you want. So a bunch of cool little tricks like that in the mixing chapter here. It's what I look like when I mix. Jeez, I got to turn the camera off. It's brutal. So I was checking a couple other mixes that I've done just to kind of check for like brightness and mid-range and bottom end and stuff like that. So I do touch upon, I think, how I use references as well in here. So let's see what else we got. I think I'm going to go tackle that next because I want to make... Oh, this is good. Popping up and some of the happening, but it's just making it just kind of the same thing that we were just doing with the whole mix. Is like it just, the solo sounded just like the sound was just a little too pretty, a little too clean, a little too, obviously it's a distorted guitar sound, but it just, everything sounded a little too safe. So I'm just kind of giving it some of that buzzy distortion and just squashing the whole thing together. It doesn't come across that way in the track because there's so much other stuff happening, but it's just making it just feel more aggressive. So that takes care of that. And that also took care of some of the level things. Like I was having, some of the notes were popping up. So I've got it. I always keep a notepad either on, for this purpose, I did it on text edit, but I usually have a notepad next to me where I write notes as I'm working on stuff. If I hear something, I'll write a note down and don't always address it that minute, but I'll go back. But I think we're at the point in the mix now where it's like I was actually listening. I'm like, what can we fix? What do we still need to fix? Notes were kind of pulling. Okay, working our way through it. Oh, needed cymbal samples on the downbeats. Yep, I remember that. Writing cymbal automation on certain things or certain parts on the overheads, get them to poke through. Well, let's just trim those whole thing back a couple. Background vocal automation. See what notes I got going on here. Okay, ear breaks are always good. Okay, so I'm going to listen down from the top, just make some more notes, see what we think we... Okay, so this is something you guys have heard me talk about a lot, and you'll see it in practice. you often, and I have to remind myself this all the time, like do a bunch of work on the mix, but have a task list. Don't just, if you're just making moves and you don't know why, and you kind of just like throwing darts around and hoping something sticks. Listen down to a mix from top to bottom and make notes, and then go fix those notes. And then don't do anything else. And then listen down again, top to bottom. Make some notes. Don't change anything else. Just those notes. Fix those. And then do that again. And just do that like 3 or 4 times, and you'll be amazed how quickly you can get to the end of a mix. And you're like, this sounds pretty good. I'm good. So, yeah. Okay, we are rounding the corner. This mixing, again, I was talking about the vocal editing, I think could be its own like thing. You could watch that in one take without watching anything else, and I think you'd probably get a lot. Same with the mixing. I think you could watch the mixing one, and you'd probably pick up, hopefully, a handful of tips that's going to help you and your mixing. But you could probably kind of jump forward on that if you're kind of more into the mixing if you want. So, Chris Hollywood Holmes in the house. What's going on, buddy? Oh, hang on. That was a surprise. I don't know if you guys recognize that gentleman right there. So we got to the end of the doing this whole thing, and obviously we need to get it mastered. And so I used Ted Jensen for a ton of my mixes, and I love what he does, and I really admire his work, and just kind of a no-brainer for me for a lot of things. And so I always kind of knew Ted was going to master this, and I kind of took a little bit of I went outside my comfort zone a little bit and took a little bit of a leap of faith, and I asked Ted if he would, once he was done mastering, if he would be gracious and kind enough to spend like 10 minutes with me on a video call talking over what he did and why he did it. And so he actually talked us through a little bit about kind of like when he first heard it, what did he like? What did he not like? What is he trying to change? What did he do to make things better? And kind of just a few things here. So this, I hate to do this to everybody, but I'm going to make you buy the course if you want to see this. This was a little bit of a bonus. It doesn't go into a ton of detail. He definitely likes to keep things like just very straightforward, and he kind of does what he does. But it's pretty awesome being able to kind of pick the brain of, I consider him an absolute legend in the business, and does amazing work. So it was a really, really neat moment for me to be able to do this. And like I said, he was gracious enough to do it. So there you go. Oh my God. I just realized this now. He's the only other person I have ever seen who uses the Orbit mouse. Look at this. You know the big trackball everybody uses? Oh my God. We are kindred spirits. I knew it, Ted. Wow, that's fun. I didn't notice that when we had our call. I didn't notice it. And if I did notice it, I forgot, but that's hilarious. That's great. So then we got our recap and final thoughts. Again, you can treat this as like kind of a course, and you can go in order and mark off as you've kind of completed stuff. Or you can jump around. Like it's kind of up to you. And like this kind of gives a little bit of a kind of an overview of the whole thing and final thoughts and that type of stuff. But there you have it. So you can go back to the beginning, you see all the lessons, you see all the downloads, all that stuff. I kind of just want to go watch this whole thing from top to bottom. I know that sounds really conceited, watching yourself for 47 hours, but I just love making records. I love making records. Okay, let's go to the chat. And then I'm going to let all you guys get back to your Friday night, maybe Saturday morning, depending on what part of the world you're in. So before we do that, I know a bunch of people came on after the intro. The workshop is up and available for sale. I'm going to have John put the links in the chat right now. They're also in the description, the YouTube description here. Go to my website. It's up in, I believe, where is it? Where is this? Nope. Oh, that's somewhere up here. You'll find it. Or just click the link. Like I said, the link will take you there. It's available for sale. We launched it today. There may be a few things that you come across that if you run into any sort of like technical issues, or if there's anything in there that seems to be missing, or just whatever, like just shoot us an email at the website email address here, or the reply to the email when you got the email from the course. We're going to be tweaking this thing. Any tweaks we need to make, we'll tweak it as we go. But we spent a lot of time. Well, when I say we, John spent a lot of time getting this thing really tightened up, and even just kind of going through it quickly like that, I can see like it's looking like pretty complete. So, but I guess I'm just saying, if you do come across anything, don't hesitate to let us know. We want to make sure everybody is happy with what they get. I definitely, let's go back to this, because like I said, a bunch of people came in kind of at the end. So it's available for sale. We've got special pricing for John. How long are we running this for? John's in the chat. This is kind of like our intro launch pricing. But if you are subscribed to my newsletter, which has been pretty quiet lately, but I promise I'll get some more stuff going. And also there are some free goodies that we give to everybody who signs up. You guys have a limited time coupon for another discount on top of the launch price. So if you're going to buy it, you might as well go sign up for the newsletter. We'll email you a code, and then the code might not come right away. It might come like tonight or tomorrow night or Sunday night, but you'll get the discount as soon as we can get those out. And what else? The 3 different tiers. I'll go over this again. You've got the basic tier, which is just the videos. That's it. So if you just want to watch kind of the way that I probably would want to watch, just as almost like infotainment, you can do that. If you want to kind of level up and you want to be able to get these tracks and really you're using it more of an instructional tool, you want to get your skills better with editing and mixing and pre-production and all that stuff, you can get all the tracks. You get all the documentation from the session that you can kind of look at, which, like I said, I love doing that. There are some like books and stuff like that when you buy from bands that, or album covers where you can see like little pieces of the recall sheets and stuff like that. Like, I love that stuff. So if you like that stuff as well, you get all the multi-tracks, all the fun stuff in here. And then kind of the big daddy of them all, which is it. I don't know. After seeing this, I kind of want to do more of these. I think as long as everybody else is as enthusiastic as I am, I might do more. I don't know. But as of right now, this is the only one we have planned. The professional tier gets everything that's in the middle tier, but also we do 4 private group calls. We're keeping the groups relatively small, so that way you'll actually be able to get some interaction and get your questions answered. And if you need clarification on stuff, if you've tried something with the tracks that you want to kind of run past me as an idea or a workflow hack that you've come up with, anything like that. We're going to do 4 group calls spaced out to give you guys enough time to watch the videos and then be able to, make a list of questions, and we can get on a group call and kind of talk over and kind of shoot the shit about the course, and all the content that's in it. So, again, if you're serious, like you're looking at this what I'm offering here, you're like, I'm looking for something that's going to really kind of help me level up my production or my mixing or my editing. And that might be probably the most impactful one if I had to say so. Obviously it's more expensive. So, it's, there is payment plans available if you want, but I hate this part of it. Anyways, go check it out. You can decide for yourself if it's for you. Okay, I'm going to head to the chat one more time. And then I have been so busy this week. I think I've only eaten dinner like twice this week, and I'm starving. I'm going to go eat like 4 pizzas. Okay, I'm going to hit the chat real quick. Excuse me while I look on my other screen here, because I'm going to go all the way back up. Somebody asked here, will we have future cohorts? For example, can I join a cohort later this year? As of right now, so he's referring to the professional, this one here. As of right now, there's only this one. If it goes well and there's a demand for it, and I have the time, which has lately been a little bit of a problem, maybe I'll open it up and do another group, but we need to have a deadline because the clock needs to start so we can schedule the calls. So I would really feel bad if we left this open and somebody joined like a week before the call and didn't have time to actually like go through anything. So this is going to be closing, it looks like, on June 21st. So you have until June 21st if those calls are beneficial for you and those are something that you think you'd get a lot out of, which obviously that's why I'm doing is I think people would get a lot out of it. You got to sign up by the 21st. Will there be another one? Probably not. Maybe. I don't know. I'd rather say no than say yes, and then people be pissed off that I didn't do it again. So, somebody asked, what do I use to tune bass? Sometimes the auto tune. When I run auto tune in auto, it clicks. I hear clicks a lot. So auto tune, Melodyne. Sometimes I use Elastic Audio and just do it by ear. If there's a certain note and there's like a consistent thing to it, I can do that as well. So somebody asked, is the content from pre-production all the way through to mastering? Absolutely. This is, aside from giving you guys all the raw video, which would have been hundreds of hours, this is as close to you being in the room side by side with me, making an entire record from scratch. So yeah, it's all the way from the iPhone recording of a rehearsal to Ted Jensen sitting in his studio mastering it, having a conversation with us. So yeah, absolutely. Good question though. Few comments about the tricks, the speaker tricks for the vocals. Yeah, I'm still shocked that worked so well. Oh yeah, Nick Raskulinix and Randy Staub doing one of these. Nick, yeah, you know what? I should get in touch with Nick, see if he'd do it. That would be fun. I would watch that. I would buy that. Randy Staub, unlikely. I think he's just enjoying the fruits of his labor. But yeah. Okay. What else we got here? Even though the drum edit video is after the recording, I think it was actually done the same day as the drum tracking. Is that correct? Yes. So part of my workflow now, and this might be maybe a good topic for like another live stream down the line, but something that a couple of years ago I became very intentional about was building a little bit more of a team and outsourcing some of the things that are either like really time or energy consuming. And so a couple of years ago, I went on the hunt and I tried out a few people, but I found like just an amazing assistant and editor, Irene. And so she's been amazing over the last couple of years, like a huge part of my team. And so when we did this project, When we're done tracking drums, I comp them and I send them to her, and she edits them and sends them back. And so we can start tracking we can start tracking guitars to edited drums the next day. So I went back so that way I could show you guys my editing process. That was the one thing I did go back to do, is edit the drums. So that way there was a drum editing component of this. But yes, that was done. Maybe we can, John, maybe we can put a note somewhere in the text saying that that the drums were edited. That's a good point. What else we got in here? You Canadians love your Omnisphere. Interesting. Is that a Canadian thing? I didn't know that was a Canadian thing. But yes, I do love my Omnisphere. You know what? Omnisphere is interesting. It's funny. I have a couple friends, some producer friends, that are like, what synth should I get? What synth plugin should I get? I said, man, you have Omnisphere. Yeah, I know, but like I'm looking for something new. And I'm like, Omnisphere is capable of everything. You just need to learn how to use it. Omnisphere is probably, I mean, it's like I said, you can do anything with Omnisphere. I know very few people who actually use it to 20% of its capacity. It's very deep, and it's a great plugin, and I sometimes feel like it gets discounted because of its interface. I pulled up Stylus once in a session, and some young kids were like, well, you still use that thing? I was like, same thing. Stylus is way more powerful than anybody thinks it is. So, yeah. We almost as much as hockey. Yeah, that's true. So, the Nickelback tambourine in post-grunge is something I didn't know that I will ever hear. What is life without tambourines, right? No. I like tambourines. This is funny. Somebody says, if you use your own mix as a reference track, you know you've made it. Okay. So let me explain this a little bit. It's not that I think I'm so great or anything like that. The reason why I use my own mixes as reference is, yes, I've done mixes that I think when I hear them, I'm like, I nailed that, or I did a really good job on that, right? The reason why I use my own mixes for reference mixes, not all the time, but sometimes, is because they are just naturally going to line up closer with what I do. And I find it easier to hear I'm trying to think of a good way to say this. If you take one of my mixes and you take one of Chris Lord-Alge's mixes, let's say there were similar songs, and you A-B'd them, you would instantly hear the difference, right? When I A-B my own stuff, I hear what's the same. And so it's like a little bit of a different way of looking at it. So it's less about like, I need to hear something different. So I'm like, oh, okay, now I got to go change this. And it's more like, oh no, okay, I'm lining up. I'm looking to make sure like my top end is kind of lining up and my bottom end's lining up and my mid-range is lining up. And whenever I A/B to somebody else, it's never going to line up because we just hear things differently. It might be similar, but I always hear the differences. Whereas when I A/B my own mixes, I hear the similarities, which is kind of more what I'm looking for. So hopefully that helps. I'm not just, stroking my own ego. That's definitely not the case. I'm usually wondering how I still have a job making records because, second guessing everything, right? Okay, Holmes in the house. Yeah, I don't know if he's still here, but Chris, big shout out to Chris, Chris Hollywood Holmes. He had a really prominent hand in helping us make this new Nickelback record. So keep your eyes and ears out. He was a big part of it. I'm very thankful for his talents and his energy on this one. He killed it. So coming soon. Well, not that soon, but down the line. Alex, thank you very much. Yeah, he says unreal, Chris. What a gold mine. I think you guys probably know this by now. I mean, when I do 3-hour live streams on YouTube, for just, for the sake of doing it, I think you guys probably understand what kind of my ambitions and my motives and what I try to provide in value. I would not have ever even come close to asking anybody for any money for anything like this if I didn't think it was worth, I don't want to say double, but like my goal was I wanted this to be there to be so much value in this that when you're done, you're like, oh yeah, that investment was nothing, as opposed to, sometimes you buy stuff and you're just like, I don't know if I really got my money's worth. I really wanted this to be like the be all end all, and also be feasible for just about anybody who's into doing this. So gold mine, that's kind of what I was after. We wanted to make a gold mine, and not charge what it would cost for a brick of gold. So thank you. I appreciate that. Are multitracks consolidated WAV files or in Pro Tools session? So I consolidated everything. So if you're not in Pro Tools, you can take the files and dump them into your own DAW, whatever you're using. But I also include the Pro Tools session. We have some amazing people in our subscriber community that have offered to build out some like take the multis and try to build out the session into a couple of the other DAWs. When I think about that, I'm just like, it's going to take a lot of time, and I kind of feel bad about somebody doing that. But that being said, if somebody does that and you guys want to share it with everybody else, I'm sure there's a bunch of people on, Cubase or Logic or Reaper even that would probably love that. So, yeah. John, I just scrolled down. John, you already answered that question. So, okay, cool. You got to get Kyle as your sidekick. You know what? I think Kyle might be my hype man. Kyle, I might need to hire Kyle to just follow me around and just be my guy. Oh, that's great. Thanks for picking up the work. Oh, John's just kind of thanking. Oh, wow. We've a bunch of people have bought it. That's amazing. I love that. Thank you guys. I really appreciate it. Yeah, I'm excited. Going through this tonight got me excited for you guys, and I hope you guys are excited about it as I am. So, and definitely give us your feedback. Send us emails, hit us up on Instagram or Facebook or whatever. And if you do feel so inclined to share some stuff with your friends, feel free to forward emails or links or share stuff on Instagram and tag me. All of that stuff kind of just helps kind of keep the ball rolling on this stuff. So it all absolutely helps. So Chris, buddy, thank you. Yeah, it absolutely was a blast. We got to do it again and maybe be in the room together a little bit more. That's the only caveat for the next one. We got to go down to Cabo together as opposed to tag teaming. Okay. I don't know what else to say. I think I might be out. I think it might be time for a couple pizzas and a bottle of wine and a weekend. So, again, big thanks, John Plett. You are the rock star. You are the legend here. He's the guy who got this thing where we're actually now releasing it, which is crazy to think. Big thanks to John. Big thanks to everybody who watches these live streams. They're long. I feel like these live streams are training for the workshop because the workshops are even longer. But yeah, I'm very proud. I'm very excited. I don't know what else to say. If you guys have any questions, like I said, let us know. If you run into any issues, let us know. Right now, we're still kind of a two-man team here. It's just me and John, so it's a small but mighty team. But we want to make sure that you guys are loving what you're putting your hard-earned money towards, and getting hopefully well beyond what you paid in value, or new, more skill set, more clients, more confidence, whatever it is. So thank you guys. We will we'll do another live stream. We're going to get back into the habit of this now that I'm not quite so busy. So we will do kind of more of the usual format. Maybe we'll get on like once every other month and then ramp up. So ramp up from there. So I love you all. Be safe. Have a great weekend. Take care.